make his receivers better because he has a young one that's already there. I'm guessing they're probably going to take another one. So
wide receiver?
I think they're going to take another young wide receiver. We've even saw your draft crush, Ted McMillan.
Yeah. Successful season for Trevor Lawrence is, like Kayla said, make it to a Sweet 16, all Sweet 17 at this point, and also win the AFC South. He is the oldest player in the AFC South right now. He's the most veteran quarterback in the AFC South right now. He can't allow his team to fall below the line as it pertains to the Houston Texans at this point. If he can't win duels against C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, then, I mean, they got bigger issues on their hand right now. And that doesn't just mean that he's bad. It could be the team, too, but he's got to will this.
For sure.
This past season was his first year not playing 16 games and his first year below 3,600 passing yards in his career.
Okay.
He got to win. He got to win the South.
The bar is very high for Trevor Lawrence.
It certainly is. And you know why? Because he was a number 1 overall pick that, again, was dubbed a generational talent, just like Caleb Williams. Well, Caleb Williams is only in his second year entering. This guy is in his, how many years? Fourth year?
This will be his 5th season.
Yeah. He has not reached
Same
even
age as
close
Tyler
to
Shuck.
generational talent.
I think he has. He has 2 4,000-yard seasons as the Jags quarterback.
I know, but he's also not led his team past the, first round?
It is still the Jags.
That's what I was going to say. Do we put that on the Jags also?
615-737-1045. We got our answer on Shedeur Sanders and the NFL Combine, and we'll react to it next.
7:01. What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Rams, big story of the weekend, have given permission to quarterback Matthew Stafford's agent to speak with other teams about his value. This is not a trade request. Instead, the Rams and Stafford can gain a better understanding for his value outside the team, potentially making it easier to get a contract done. That remains the hope, that outside help can assist in gauging his market and seeing his value, and that this results in his return to L.A. To the Jaguars, where they have hired Rams Director of Scouting James Gladstone as their new general manager, a dark horse candidate landing the gig. And with that hire, the Jaguars have the youngest group of decision makers in the NFL. Gladstone, who is 34, Liam Cohen, who is 39, their offensive coordinator Grant Udinski, who is 29, and defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli, who is 42, all in their roles for the first time. And in free agent news, the Bears are releasing former Titan defensive end DeMarcus Walker after 2 seasons, which he started 29 games, including all 17 last year. The move saves about $5 million for Chicago in cap space. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW rolls into hour number 2 on this Monday morning. Welcome in on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. The official RKW draft expert, Stoney Keeley, is coming up next in 15 minutes. We're going to talk big men today, scouting some tackles. Ramon Foster very pleased before he makes a drive up to Indianapolis as a part of Titans Radio's coverage of the NFL Scouting Combine. Shrimp cocktail for all very soon.
Yay.
That would clear out my sinuses. That sounds pretty great,
Right.
actually.
You would be totally
Sounds
okay
good
after
regardless.
that. Yeah.
Just next day, ship me some. I'll be good to go.
I
for the
think
rest
they
of this
do.
week.
I think
I think they do.
Yeah, they sell the
they're
cocktail
popular
sauce.
enough.
I bought
For
it.
sure.
It's not as spicy as the one you get in the
makes sense.
restaurant. Yeah, I was expecting some heat, man. They ain't give me nothing. I was
Like
a little
spice
upset
it
about
up.
that.
They keep that for the restaurant.
Yeah, if
like
I
you
know what
said.
I'm getting myself into, then I feel a whole lot better about it. I wasn't expecting it to be.
Do
a
you
little bit
guys
more
go to
sweeter.
the St. Elmo's? Is that one of
Mac
your
sets it up on
spots?
Tuesdays.
It'll happen.
Yeah, Mac
Got it.
gonna set it up.
Look at
Yep.
that.
Absolutely.
Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders says he will not throw at the 2025 NFL Combine. He, quote, plans to focus on his interviews with teams at the Combine, helping them continue to learn him as a person. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport said on Sunday. What do we think? We got our answer.
And we all gasped. Oh my gosh, we're so surprised. No,
Yeah,
we're not surprised at all.
Yeah, no doubt. For me is this. I think his one-on-one interviews are probably more important than his own field anyway. So many folks have spoken or have an opinion about Shedeur Sanders that it probably does. This might be his only time for the teams that are around him before the 30 visits, that he gets an opportunity to just kind of lay it all out. And there'll be everybody in the room for guys like him too. When it's Shedeur Sanders' appointment to Team A, Team B, Team C, everybody is going to be there, and that's where they can at least close the doors, have an off-the-record conversation about any and everything they want to at that point. You have no dad, you have no cameras, you have no teammates, you have no nothing around. And for him, I do think that has to be one of the biggest selling points ever. And here's the thing about Shedeur, too. It's not like you got questions of him getting in trouble. Like, you don't have those type of questions that have to be answered for him. What you do know is this. You're going to put him in a pressurized situation going inside of those rooms. They are intimidating. Most times you walk in, y'all, is U-shaped the way they set up the rooms. Your chair's in the middle, back against the door, and everybody is surrounding you, and then everybody fill in around you also. Mm-hmm. And whatever they feel like asking you, you're going to have it brought up. If you have an issue with, hey, tell me about the women in your life. Oh, well, tell me about who's your inspiration besides your dad? What are you going to do besides if your dad's not around? Like, it's going to be a lot of that. Does your brother have to be on it? Tell me about your brother. No, tell me about your arm motion. It's so many different things that are going to go into it. And I'm glad he's actually taking this approach of saying, let's slow it down a little bit. You guys get an opportunity to know me, because here's the thing that they can and they are good at doing too. Coaches are awesome because most of the time they learn you or seen somebody like you that they know how to they know how to trigger you. It's going to be a team that says something to him in some type of fashion that they're expecting to get him riled up. Mm-hmm. If he can be good in those pressurized moments, then I feel like he can help himself a lot. His ability to talk to teams and somewhat sell himself, because that's what he's going to have to do. I'm not a joke. Like, all those things that he's going to have to say, these are the moments they do it to where they at least take him a little bit more serious. And I think they are, but this is where it happens. So I personally didn't think he would throw. This is, to me, a little bit more important.
It's not surprising to me, and it won't be surprising to me when and if they announce that Cam Ward isn't throwing either. If you look back at, the trend so far for quarterbacks in the NFL Combine, more and more quarterbacks are going in this direction, at least those that have maybe shored up who they are as a prospect. Now, the outlier is C.J. Stroud a couple years ago, I think, when we saw him throw and other guys didn't. So that's interesting that was the decision made by him, but it didn't hurt him by any means. Honestly, I think his draft stock might have gone up even a little bit more.
C.J. Stroud?
Right, after that, because I know Bryce Young did not throw at that NFL Combine, but you saw other guys who needed to up their profile, Anthony Richardson, and did indeed do that. So this can benefit you if you are a quarterback of maybe lesser value going into the Combine and you really want to show that athletic ability. This type of situation can help you. But in terms of Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, I don't really know at this point how it can help them throwing, because they already know they're the two best quarterbacks in the draft. So I seem to think it's not a big deal if Shedeur and Cam don't throw here, because you're right, Ramon. I think if anything, they're now selling themselves as the number one guy in their interviews. And you either fall in love with those personalities because they're both strong personalities, or you say, yeah, this is probably not exactly the direction we're going in, because you've already seen the film and you'll see them throw live at their days in terms of their pro days. Yeah. But I just don't honestly think it's a big deal at all that Shedeur Sanders isn't throwing.
I think it's pretty confusing, honestly. I mean, typically we see quarterbacks who are slated to go number one, who are that guy, not throw. Shedeur Sanders is not the overwhelming number one overall pick prospect that Joe Burrow was when he decided not to throw, or Bryce Young was when he decided not to throw. I don't understand. Like, would Shedeur Sanders rather be a Giant than a Titan?
Would he? I think so, probably, to be honest with you.
That is one of the only rationales to me that makes sense on why he wouldn't throw. Is, I New York and I got a good thing going. I like the Giants. I want to go third. I don't want to raise myself up to number one overall pick level. That's a bit of a conspiracy theory. I don't totally believe that, but that is one of the arguments for this that I think makes sense.
But you could also go opposite by saying, I know Tyler or Dylan, in the chat said, but his arm strength is the concern.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that can also hurt you if you go to the Combine and you're already kind of uneasy maybe in terms of who you're throwing to. You're not exactly in sync with the guys that are out there that are just random wide receivers from, around the college game. So the comfort level is not there. You're in a different place. You're not at your own little pro day. And I think that sometimes can hurt you. And so sometimes these agents are going out there saying, I don't want you to do that. I don't want to put you in that type of situation where the minute that you have one bad throw at the Combine, do you know how much then circulates around that one bad throw? Oh, but the arm strength. Like, I just feel like it sets them up for PR disaster at this point if they go and put themselves out in that spot.
Yeah, it could. And again, I think the way he's been viewed as of late has been loud. And here's an opportunity for him to kind of change that narrative a little bit, too. So I don't have no problem with him. I didn't expect it to happen either. I get what you're saying, Will. It's just like, what if he just wanted to, take the back seat to what the number one overall pick was and go to the market that he wants to? Like, looking at Daboll and how he could craft an offense and his personality fitting in New York, Shedeur couldn't be any bigger. The Sanders brand couldn't be any bigger either. But here's the other thing, though, too. I think the reason why he's not throwing there, one, is so much publicity for his university at Colorado. I think that's playing a huge part into it also. But it's the idea that you only get one shot to look at these guys like that. And having the ability to control the script, have your guys be around and catch behind you, too. And also to your point about not having the major networks critique you up and down all things that you do. I go back to my original point. I think it's more on him to let them get to know him as opposed to what he's capable of, because I love his tape. I love his tape, though.
You could throw and get to know teams.
He could, but that to me, again, as many as he's going to have, I think he could probably have 15 different visits, which is fine.
You could do that in job.
You could, but
Throwing
as far
doesn't
as
take all week.
It doesn't, but it's also the side of it being tired too. Now, here's what we'll have to run into, Will: the fatigue of it all too. I know what you said. The fatigue of it when you can control it, you do. I think it's way more important for him to have sit down.
I don't love it. I think he should throw. I think the ante has now been raised for Cam Ward to throw.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
If you want to be the number one overall pick, if you want to put your money where your mouth is and take it personally, if you're not pick number one, then throw.
He's been doing things his way since the start. We have not heard from Cam Ward. It's been silent mostly on his camp because he's deciding to do the things he wants to do. Shedeur not throwing is not going to change his mind on whether or not he should.
I actually thought it would.
I think it should.
Absolutely
Since they've been in so much competition with one another, I felt like Cam would be like, well, yeah, watch me. I'm going to throw. And I'm going to take all the headlines.
I think they know whatever their plan is, they're sticking to their plan, and they're not going to veer from it if one or the other doesn't throw.
That may be true, but the way they have competed in these videos we've seen on social media, he's telling them, I'm here practicing every day. Like, it wouldn't shock me.
And that's about the only thing we've seen from Cam Ward.
I know, but like the idea that Shedeur doesn't and Cam does, like that to me, I think would be more fascinating. Now, again, they go to Miami, they're going to have a big old pro day anyway, but it wouldn't shock me if this was Cam's one-up on them.
Coming up, we're talking big boys, tackles. Stoney Keeley joins us to break it down next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Is your water heater not heating? Maybe your sink is leaking or the drain is clogged. Hey, well, available 24/7, 365. Our expert friends at Lee Company, they got you covered for all of your plumbing needs. And right now, you can enjoy $30 off a plumbing service call for a limited time. Just contact Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or head online to leecompany.com for an appointment to take care of your home's plumbing from top to bottom. Again, that's $30 off a plumbing service call for a limited time for the folks who have over 80 years of experience. That's right. Lee Company, they've been doing business since 1944. They're open 24/7 with 14 community locations in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama. And you've probably seen their fleet of vehicles. They got over 1,000 of those vehicles out on the roads here around the Middle Tennessee area, and they know how to do business the right way. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call. Again, that's $30 off your next plumbing service call at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Monday morning at RKW continues on 104.5 The Zone. Full crew back together in studio. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling, joined by the man you hear if you subscribe to football and other F words, which you should be, especially now during draft season. He is the RKW draft expert, Stoney Keeley, talking tackles this morning. Stoney, what's happening? How we doing?
Doing well, Will. Better than I deserve. Shout out Bert hooking me up with the Sexy Red intro. How about that? And I didn't even know Sexy Red had a song we could play on the radio.
Me either.
That's why it's only the musical instrumental.
Hey, Stoney, what are you doing requesting Sexy Red is the real question, okay?
Ramon, if you fire up my Spotify, it ain't nothing but Sexy Red, Glorilla, Megan Thee Stallion.
She's known as Big Glow now, okay? Big Glow after doing SNL.
So after every prospect, Stoney talks about, we're just going to go, Stoney, and then we're going to talk about the next one.
That's right.
Stoney,
I love it.
Now you might get an invite to the cookout.
This is why you fit in
Bring
perfectly
paper plates, though.
That's right. All right. Well, Stoney, I divulged earlier that you were very willing to talk tackles this morning. Again, this is why you fit in great with us. And as we look at some of the big guys and the NFL Combine begins and all these things, we have come upon another class where a lot of tackles could be guards and a lot of these guys could be centers or tackles and all of these things. As you look at the tackles within this draft, Stoney, who is number one for you on your board?
It depends on the day you ask me, Will.
Okay.
Because right now I'm floating between Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly. I really love Simmons' tape. I think if the medical's clear, he's probably a top 10 pick among the offensive tackles in this class that are actually going to play offensive tackle in the NFL. There are some questions about Will Campbell. I watch his tape and think that he kind of struggles to play at the edge. I think he's going to struggle with speed at the NFL level, but we've kind of come full circle on Will Campbell from offensive tackle one to know he's going to kick inside the guard to now we're back to NFL teams think he can play tackle. I'm just not as high on him as others are. I really love Simmons' tape. If the medical's clear, I think he's going to be the best tackle to come out of this draft class.
Stoney Keeley, football and other F words, our guest this morning. So, Stoney, break that down for us. What makes a guy a guard or a tackle between those two kind of classifications? And for someone, for example, like Will Campbell, what are some of the traits that he has that makes him better suited to kick inside, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think there are issues with the handling speed. And he was battle-tested, man, in the SEC. He played against some really good pass rushers. And, I do kind of feel like there is an element of that being held against him, but because he did hold his own on the college tape. But this is where the dreaded arm length conversation comes into our vision here, because he is going to be one of those fringe guys. And the question that NFL teams and front offices are having to answer right now is whether or not the tape is good enough to make up for that potential deficiency. For me, I am all about throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. If you draft him to play tackle, put him out there and see what he can do. But there are a lot of people that think the length is going to disqualify him from playing tackle. For me, I watch the tape and think it's the moments when he gets beat around the edge and he looks a little slow to react that I think he might just be a little too slow to process NFL edge rush speed.
Stoney Keeley, football and other F words with us this morning, discussing combine tackles, man. You mentioned Josh Simmons. You mentioned Josh Connerly. What about Kelvin Banks out of Texas, man? I know he had a couple injuries, didn't end up playing in their playoff games, if I'm not mistaken, or tried to. But what can you tell us about him? Because a lot of folks have him as a number one guy, depending on what boards you're looking at.
Yeah, so his pro comp, if you read Lance Zierlein from NFL.com, his pro comp is Peter Skoronski. So I'm guessing when I say that, you guys can probably anticipate where this is going. It's another arm length conversation for him. He is kind of built. It's not just that the arms are short, but he seems a little thin in the arms and in the legs, in the limbs, so to speak. I think he's a great athlete. I think he has the range to play at the edge. I think he's actually a pretty good run blocker. There are times that he kind of gets in trouble with his set depth, maybe getting a little too far outside and not being able to counter an inside move. I think there are times that he doesn't get out to the edge to meet the rusher in space quickly enough. So I think there are some, I guess you would say, technical deficiencies that I think could have him kicking inside the guard.
Stoney, whenever you look at these guys, man, decisions got to be made, too, because we're talking about the high-caliber ones that could potentially be first-rounders. I think this fan base is having a little offensive line fatigue as it pertains to the high draft picks as of late. So the guy that you're going to get potentially may be a second-rounder, unless, Stoney, you do take one of these tackles early. Do you see a situation where the Titans are better suited by moving JC over to the right side, considering he's got a year under his belt, and draft let's say, a slender, taller left tackle and put him with Peter Skoronski?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be open to that idea. I know they've said time and time again they drafted J.C. Latham to be the left tackle, but you got to do what's best for this football team at this point, and they've got a lot of holes that they might be in a spot this offseason where beggars can't be choosers. If you can, in a trade-down scenario, move down to like the 10 or 15 range, and you can get a guy that is maybe the best left tackle in this class, then, you absolutely explore that possibility, in my opinion. I actually think 35 is a great sweet spot for the Titans if they stick and pick at 101, because this draft class is so unique. It doesn't really have that marquee guy. It doesn't have a lot of depth at the offensive tackle position, but where its strength is in the middle class. And so right there at 35, I think you could still get a guy that could be a franchise right tackle, or to your point, Ramon, a franchise left tackle, moving J.C. Latham back to the right side, and end up being okay. It's what's pretty unique about this draft class to me.
Stoney Keeley, our NFL draft expert. You can also check him out on Football and Other F Words podcast. So if you are kind of going in that second round looking for a tackle for the Titans, what are some names we should look out for in that position?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, you would be looking for Armand Membu to fall out of the first round. I don't think he's going to. That's the right tackle out of Missouri. I don't think he's going to. It's what makes Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks such interesting dominoes to fall, because if teams draft them to be guards, they're probably going to go a little later in the first round. If teams think they're going to be tackles, well, they might both be top 15 picks, and then it might start a run on offensive tackles, and things kind of dry up by the time we get to 35. I don't think both guys are going to go as tackles, so I think it could push some of these guys on into the second round. I don't think Membu is one of them. I do think Josh Simmons, the medical history, kind of clouds his evaluation right now. I think he could be potentially available. Josh Connerly is another guy I like there. I really like this right tackle out of Minnesota, Ariante Ursary, left tackle. They flipped him to the right at the Senior Bowl, and he looks pretty good there. And then it might be too early for a guy like Anthony Belton out of NC State, but he's one of my guys in this draft class. Just kind of looks like what Bill Callahan wants in an offensive tackle, just big, burly dude, strong hands, violent demeanor, could really pancake a guy. I think 35 would be early for him, but if you don't have a third-round pick this year and you want to get a guy that you think could be your franchise right tackle, I don't think it's too early to pull the trigger on it.
Stoney, okay, so this might give some Titans a little bit of a red flag just by hearing North Dakota State University and knowing Dylan Radins. Maybe to this point, when you look at his career, underperformed coming out of the FCS school. But Gray Zabel has definitely been a name that you've heard thrown out there. You've heard the name at the Senior Bowl. What are we looking at in terms of that type of tackle?
Oh, I absolutely love Gray Zabel, and I'm beginning to think that you get your invite to the combine whenever you commit to North Dakota State as an offensive lineman. I mean, they got a dude every year that's in the draft class. I like Gray Zabel. I think there are questions about his play speed as well at the edge in the NFL. The size measurements are going to be crucial this week at the combine. From everything I've heard, he's going to kick inside. Some people think that he's going to be like a 10-year center in the NFL. Others think he's going to move into right guard. I think he offers true position versatility, and I've yet to hear of anybody that thinks he can play tackle in the NFL, but like I said, with my philosophy, I'm going to throw whatever I can against the wall and see what sticks. The guy's a bullet. I mean, he just, moves around the formation. He hits hard in space. He's got really strong hands, really good footwork to mirror rushers. Looks like a really polished guy at the FCS level. We go down to Mobile, and he steals the show at the Senior Bowl. I mean, the most consistent offensive lineman that was there. He was like the practice player of the week or something like that. Really good interior offensive line prospect that I think is probably a long shot to stick at tackle.
Stoney Keeley, Football F Words, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Stoney, when you talk about Anthony Belton, I know he's one of your guys, and you mentioned him just a minute ago. For a guy who is as old as he is, sixth-year senior, I believe going to be 26 as a rookie at that position, how much does that change the evaluation for him and for many other players at tackle specifically who are playing against a lot of players who are 3, 4, maybe even 5 years their junior in college?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Will, I think it's one of the things that has so many scouts grading him out as a day 3 guy is the age. I don't think the expectation is that he's going to come in and play for 15 years in the NFL. I think it's something that hurts him. I think there are also some character concerns. I mean, he did spit in a guy's face in the Clemson game, though if you hear his side of the story, he said the other dude spit first, so everybody's just spitting in that NC State Clemson game. I'm sure it'll all work itself out, but I kind of look at it as, well, you know what? The Titans could probably use some guys that are out there spitting in people's faces too. So I don't know. I don't know that that's a mark in the negative column here, but I do think it is something that you take into account. Probably not as much as, say, the quarterback position, where we see metrics such as like breakout age and stuff like that come into play. I think offensive linemen can play pretty long into their NFL careers. So, I mean, to me, I just love the tape so much. I love the style. I think he fits the mentality, the mold that the Titans would be looking for in a right tackle, and I'm willing to live with the age and just see what we got here for a few years.
I mean, Stoney, they want to get us in and get us out. Anyway, why we worried about age anyway, man? Look, 3.1 year average is what the NFL career is, okay? What we talking about? What we talking about 26 for? Come on, man. But with that being said, though, Stoney, like going back to earlier when I asked you about moving JC around, do you look at the squad and where they're at right now with the young talent that they have, and then throwing Lloyd Cushenberry in there too? Do you see this if they do get a second-round tackle and saying to yourself, they're in a good spot for the next 10 years if they develop them? Do you say that about Peter, JC, Lloyd, and potentially a second, maybe third round if they get another pick?
Yeah, absolutely, Ramon. I mean, I think the Titans' offensive line showed massive improvement by the time December rolled around. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say they're one of the best offensive lines in the league by any means, but I think, people lose sight of that because I think a lot of people just stopped watching the Titans in December. But the offensive line compared to where it was in September made really great strides. I don't think that this unit is too far away. They've just got to keep doing what they've done the past few seasons. They've built out the left side of that offensive line. Now it's time to build out the right side. And I think they're going to need a right guard as well, whether that's re-signing Dylan Radins or looking elsewhere. But if they continue to build that, I don't see any reason that they can't get their franchise right tackle among these guys and they can't keep improving.
With that being said, the guy that is a project, if you are the coach, we think you are Bill Callahan. Another Senior Bowl crush was Carson Vincent out of Alabama A&M. Now, only thing has been Brian Callahan said last year he liked big players from big-time universities. Do you break that and start training up a Carson Vincent? Because the potential is there, although he's a left tackle. Do you break that and move him over also? Because he's got everything that you want. The size, the attitude. He's not a spitter on the field like that, but he did wreck shop down there at the Senior Bowl, though.
Yeah, there was a really impressive rep that he won against Shamar Stewart.
Yes,
it was
sir.
Like the end of practice. I forgot what the period's called, but it's the end of the practice where they like pick the best offensive tackle from the day, they pick the best defensive end from the day. They go one-on-one, and the loser does push-ups, or the losing team does push-ups.
25 of them, I think.
One-on-one with Shamar Stewart, who is going to be potentially a top 20 pick in this draft, and Carson Vincent bodied him, and the defense had to do the push-ups. Also said, Ramon, I'm glad you brought him up. He's in my notes, but height, length, the attitude was quoted down in Mobile as saying, like, I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over. Like, it's all well and good for me to get to the spot. We all love football. We're having a good time this week. But I want to show people that I belong. And he had that chip on his shoulder, and I thought he really overperformed expectations. Worked himself into, but prior to that, I think he's probably a fringe draftable guy. I think you watch him work out that week, and now he's definitely a day 3 guy that could be a lump of clay for Bill Callahan to mold. And I don't see any reservations about moving him to right tackle either. Just you get that guy out on the field, and he wants to prove that he belongs out there. He'll sort it out.
Stoney Keeley, our NFL draft expert, and you can catch him on Football and Other F Words podcast, joining us this morning on RKW. So a lot of these guys can elevate their draft stock at the Senior Bowl, like you were just mentioning. And it gets on another level when we enter this week's NFL Combine. And a lot of that, the physical part, right? So when you look at these tackles that are going to be there, and you can also incorporate the interviews as well, who can really up their draft stock there?
Yeah, I think this is good. A good spot for Josh Simmons to be in. I'm really intrigued to see how this week goes for him. I think the measurements are going to be crucial. The guy looks like he can play tackle, but you've got to get in there and you got to figure out what the medical situation is with him. Because like I said, the talent is so great. I mean, he's quick first step, plays in space. He's a glider, fires his hands, does a lot of the things that you look for in an NFL tackle. But the biggest question mark, and to me could be one of the biggest dominoes to fall in this offensive tackle class, is how that injury is doing, if he's going to be 100% healthy for the start of the season, because I think it could push him up the draft boards. I think he stands to gain quite a bit, because right now he's one of those fringe first-round guys that you're looking at that could potentially, skyrocket up to a top 10 caliber player in this draft.
Stoney, it's off topic, but should we care about Shedeur Sanders not throwing at the NFL Combine?
I was wondering if we were going to throw another grenade in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
We can revive the Shedeur Sanders topic. Look, I think there have been plenty of guys in recent years that haven't thrown at the Combine. It's becoming more and more common for these guys to hold off until their pro day. I don't know why we're up in arms about Shedeur Sanders doing it all of a sudden. I guess, I don't know. It's your guess is as good as mine, but sure. It doesn't really bother me.
Stoney Keeley, Football and Other F Words. He's on with us Mondays leading up to the NFL Draft. Crushes it every single week with us as well. Stoney, appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Stoney.
Thank you, guys. Ramon, we got to get you on Football and Other F Words. We got to do that 4-hour offensive line episode.
Hey, by the way, I was over here searching and looking for stuff too. What Carson Vincent said too. He also said that some people like football. Some people love football. I need it 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
The answer to your invitation is yes. I just had to throw that back out there for Carson Vincent because he has to absolutely wrecked Senior Bowl down there from HBCU, man. Definitely.
He's a dog.
Yes, indeed. Just let me know. You got my number, Stoney.
All right. Hey, we'll get on it. Thank you, guys.
For sure.
I love it.
We'll have a Monday.
Yes, sir. Stoney Keeley with us. Great way to start your week.
Yeah. I was
breaking down the big guys.
I was over here itching, just give me more.
You don't get any more of them tackle breakdowns?
Yeah, I know. You got any more of them tackle? Bert got the ability to put film up back here, too, now,
man.
we
were watching film all last week.
I saw your tweet about Cam Newton. Yeah.
Exploiting him.
We even checked out his crush, Tet McMillan, and we still were wondering what was it?
What's that?
Uncontested.
Yeah, his contested hits.
Or his contested,
or his wide open routes that he has. Yeah. So it's draft season. You got to love it if it's good. This year is just so many different avenues you can go with this thing.
Well, last week, a lot of people became hockey fans. The NHL started back again over the weekend. The Nashville Predators played a back-to-back, and it's back to reality. We'll catch up on what you may have missed over the weekend coming up.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I'm a little upset, y'all, because I got an appointment today I'm going to end up missing because we got to go to the combine. But I tell you what, I still feel good since my last visit, man. They're good at it. If you're having any back issues or neck issues, man, I know you're probably thinking, well, I can get by. No. There's no sense in just getting by with it because your back, think about this in your spine area. All of your nerves go down your spine. So if you have low back issues or just back issues in general, listen, they can help you fix that, man. They have a lot, okay, of the state of the art spinal decompression machines that just lightly pull, man, or release and get some gaps in between your spine, man, to really help you out. And right now they also have the behind the lines offer where it's $37 consultation. That includes a doctor visit, x-rays if you need them, and your first treatment so you can see how legit they are. And if you need more in-depth treatment because you're a part of the Zone family, all right, they will give you an additional 50% off spinal decompression treatment, which I had myself. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley just want to make you better. Now, they're not trying to have you come back and back. No, when you're healthy, you're done. It's that simple, man. So start your road to a pain-free life, and it is possible. You can call today the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
Well, I know a lot of you last week got back into a sport you probably haven't watched in a while or ever. It's RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. Four Nations was awesome, despite the fact that the U.S. lost to Canada in overtime in the final. Well, the NHL was back over the weekend, and many of you, including myself, might have been more encouraged to tune in to the local professional hockey team. And you were quickly reminded how bad the local professional hockey team is. Predators lose 5-0 to the New Jersey Devils. They can't even pump their own gas. That's a shout out to my fiance. Yesterday in Bridgestone Arena, Alex Doherty with some of the numbers on how bad Steven Stamkos has been this year at the Tennessean this morning.
Yeah.
His 9th consecutive game without a point. That is the first time that has happened in Steven Stamkos' 17-year career.
Yeah.
That career is almost legal to buy cigarettes. And he has not had a pointless streak longer than this one. Since January 25th, he has 0 goals and 0 assists on 19 shots. He is playing 17 minutes, 21 seconds per game.
And that's what you can't afford to have happen. When you are the Nashville Predators, you have been known for slow starts, and you went in the offseason and got a name like Steven Stamkos, who is 34 years old. In hockey years, that is old, okay? Hockey players in their 30s, that starts to get the wear and tear on the body. I think a lot of players, besides Alex Ovechkin, who's about to, I feel like, break Wayne Gretzky's record at some point here soon. He's the outlier, but most of those careers you start to see decline, and that's the dice you roll sometimes, and that's what Barry Trotz decided to do when he went out and got some of these name players. And really, that's what they've been doing for a while, is kind of patching up players like that just to fill these holes when really you need, in terms of a reset, a hard reset if you're the Nashville Predators at this point. Look, guys, they are 7th in the Central Division. You want to know the only team that is worse than them?
Is that playoff worthy right there? They're getting in the playoffs?
No, they're pretty much done. Yeah, I would
the
say
third worst record in the
yeah, I'd say they're about officially announced to be eliminated.
Okay, all right. Okay,
so
go ahead.
the only worst team is the Chicago Blackhawks. They're 6 points underneath them. But the Blackhawks, we all know the struggle that has been the Blackhawks in the past few years. Look at how long it's taken them to. They're still struggling after their whole run at Stanley Cup playoffs, championships, all of that. So the Predators in a really tough spot right now, and the trade deadline's coming up March 7th, and I would not be surprised to see several names get bounced out of here.
So moneypuck.com says the Preds have a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs and have a 9% chance at the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
So
a number 1 overall?
We could see
honestly,
number 1 overall.
That might just be what it's going to take for them. I mean, they've got a couple firsts going into next year's NHL draft. That does not help you in the immediate future in hockey the way it does in football, because a lot of those guys, like, you get the first pick in 2025. Okay, well, that helps the 2028 Predators more than it helps the 2026 Predators. But there are a couple prospects at the top of every draft that are immediate talents.
But wasn't this
that can help you more quickly?
This was a conversation last year, though. Like, as far as all the free agents and the coaching change,
it's
and
been
just
a conversation.
It's at some point. I hate to say it, but they're getting like the Titans in a sense of like, going to find new and everybody else's free agent to set a environment that everybody works on, and that's not okay. It's not sustainable. Having a number 1 overall pick, does that also mean another firing too, or change of coach?
Probably.
What's going on with Nashville teams at this point?
And remember, general manager Barry Trotz, this is his first time as a general manager. And you've got to be really careful if you're the organization of how much leeway is he going to get. Because, again, he has not proven, he's been proven to be a great coach in his career, but not a general manager yet. And there's still a lot to be proven. So how much do you roll with him?
Yeah,
That's the other question.
At some point, it's got to be sustainable, though. Number 1 overall pick helps. It depends also.
But look at Connor Bedard in Chicago.
Are they actually doing better?
No, they're below the Preds.
We were just saying that.
I heard that, but like, is he playing good?
Well, yeah, he's good, but he can't change the whole organization.
But like, I'm winning. Like, is that the situation right there where he looks generational?
He looks good, yeah, but he can't. And by the way, they have a goalie here. They signed to an 8-year contract who has underperformed
The UC Saros deal looks really bad.
And we all
right
said
now.
it on this show that we did not think that was the way to go.
8 years and a no trade clause and the power and the money they gave UC Saros. Today, it looks like the wrong decision. It's a really bad contract.
Yes.
Right now for the Preds. It is bleak. Honestly, right now for the local professional hockey team.
And I don't like to say that because I love freaking hockey and I'd love for this hockey team to be good. But I'm sorry. It's the realistic, it's the truth. This is what it is right now in Nashville. And it's not good hockey.
That's terrible.
I just worry that they don't know how to be bad, the Preds.
Right.
Like, they're not that far removed from being named the number one franchise in sports by ESPN, which they marketed, and as they should. That's not a problem. The cup run, the whole... Like, they love their culture over there in that building. Yeah. The Nashville Predators do. And it's been a long time since they've been this irrelevant. You kind of feel like they were on their way back to being the Nashville Predators last season when they made the run and they got hot and they, the whole U2 concert. And like, all right, there's momentum, there's young prospects, you've got draft picks, you've got money flexibility. And it just seems like in one offseason and season, they have thrown all of that goodwill into the furnace. It is gone. And that's what happens when you pay somebody 8 years of a contract and sign up your future to a goalie that now does not look to be worth what he received. It's very early, but
what's crazy?
They are in the thick of it.
Everything they went to go get last year was opposite of what they were doing. Okay, the power play wasn't that a situation where they couldn't get when they're supposed to go get guys that were able to make the power plays, right? They were talking about the amount of speed that they wanted. They ended up going in and getting that in free agency too. How does none of that translate over to the ice? Is confusing.
It's a great question. There's a lot of people getting paid a lot of money to figure out the answer to that question over there. That's for sure.
It's just been an inconsistent mess.
They don't tear it down enough for me. The Preds have been half in, half out of being bad because I just don't think they know how to be bad. They've not been willing. They ran it back for so many years with that core that made the Stanley Cup final, and they're still paying for it. And I just, If you want to watch relevant hockey in Nashville, the Winter Olympics are next January. Like, I'm so excited for the next Winter Olympics. I was reminded how much I love hockey last week. Yeah. I really was.
It gets
was
a bad
so
rap here
much
recently
fun.
because the team hasn't been good.
Well, and it's impossible to watch them. Like, half the people who want to watch them on FanDuel Sports Network don't have it.
Yeah.
Because they're not on streaming sites and then the blackout restrictions. So, like, finally we had hockey on ESPN and TNT that everyone cared about. It was fun. You knew young players that were exciting. The stands were full. Like, you go to a game in Nashville now, a Preds game, that is not the atmosphere it used to be. It is not. You used to go into a Bridgestone Arena Preds game on Saturday night, and you knew they were probably going to win, and then you're going to get a couple standing ovations. It was going to be loud and fun. That is not what you get anymore.
Yeah, you used to hear from players when I was covering them right after that 17 run, like how great it was to come and play here and how hard it was as an opposing player to come and play here. And that, you're right, Will, to your point, in the last 5 years, it's completely changed. I don't think it's an advantage here anymore. And again, I'm not a player, so I'm not going to speak for the player. But I've been in that atmosphere recently, and the entertainment, like, they've got all the stars and the influencers, but the product just isn't there.
I wish some of those influencers could score some goals. Preds have been shut out 8 times this season. That is the most they have been shut out since 2013-14, when they were shut out in 9 games. And there's a lot of hockey left. So, anyway,
one pick, baby.
And that was Talking Hockey. 615-737-1045. Coming up in hour number 3, Tennessee might have had their best win of the season in basketball over the weekend. We'll spin it positive. Vandy with a big win as well to keep its tournament hopes alive. We'll talk some hoops next.
What's going on? 8:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The big news of the weekend, the Rams giving permission to Matthew Stafford's agent to speak to other teams about his value. This is not a trade request per se. Instead, the Rams and Stafford can get a better understanding of his value outside the team, potentially making it easier to get a contract done. That's the hope, that the outside help can assist in gauging his market, seeing his value, and that this results in his return to the Rams. To the Jaguars, if they have hired the Rams director of scouting, James Gladstone, as their new general manager. Have fun just packing it up, headed to the combine. Don't even have time to get your office in order. A dark horse candidate lands the gig, and with that, the Jaguars have the youngest group of key decision makers in the NFL. Gladstone, who is 34, their head coach Liam Cohen is 39, their offensive coordinator Grant Udinski only 29 years old, and defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli is 42, all in their roles for the very first time. To the Bears, where they're releasing former Titan defensive end DeMarcus Walker after 2 seasons, during which he started 29 games, including all 17 last year. That move saves about $5 million in cap space for the Chicago Bears. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone enters hour 3 on this Monday morning. With the full crew back together again, the flu could keep me down no longer. Thank God. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Boldig. Robert Walsh is our producer. Great to be back. And great to be streaming again. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. You can watch the show there. You can enter the comment section, and you join the F&M Bank chat. Tennessee goes to College Station, gets a win over Texas A&M in what seems to be like the first time in forever. I know that's not true, but A&M is always a challenging team for Rick Barnes in Tennessee because they play with the same level of defensive intensity. They bring the same level of defensive effort as Tennessee does. They also draw like 80,000 fouls, and Pat Adams was on this game. I was not looking forward to watching it for that exact reason. The Vols get the job done, and once again, it's second half Zakai Ziegler leading the way, allowing Tennessee to get maybe its biggest win of the season.
It was. At this point, you'd love to have the Auburn game, right? As far as wins, you said. Mm-hmm. Auburn 1-point loss, man. Going into Texas A&M, is Lubbock, Texas is the name of their
Lubbock
city?
would be Texas Tech.
That's Texas Tech.
Try again.
College Station.
College Station. There he is.
See, they weren't on my schedule back in the day.
Second try. That's all right.
It's all good. You know what I'm saying? Quick response.
They were Big 12. You beat them in the Cotton Bowl. You weren't worried about them.
I ain't got. I'm 1-0.
What the heck is an Aggie?
What is an Aggie?
I don't even know.
What is a 12 man? They were irrelevant when we went down there. Okay,
they could have used 12 the way you kicked their butt in the Cotton Bowl.
I say all that. Now here I was in bowl sweats on the sideline as a redshirt freshman.
And I was up there as a second grader in the stands.
Don't mention our age differences, please. Don't do that. But man, this game is what you needed to see out of the Vols. Man, it was intense. From the get-go, Tennessee just held their own for the most part throughout the course of this game, and it wasn't pretty either. Again, Ron brought up this past weekend, Ron Slay, our teammate here, brought up how they were going to play Tennessee, and they did exactly that. As soon as you thought that you had a pathway to the lane, no, trap. Then here's another one. They created turnovers and everything as it pertains to what they allowed the Vols to do. It's just that, boy, for the folks that have been looking for him, he showed up, and he is Chaz Lanier.
Big time.
You know what I love about his game, though, more than anything? The three-point shot is phenomenal. 24 points off threes is nuts.
8 3-pointers.
Okay? Ooh. But not just that. Before the end of the first half, he had an opportunity to take a three, one dribble, went inside for the mid-range shot. And I was just like, yes. Like, go for the shot that's a high percentage shot for you, and he did that. Now, Again, he was streaking as far as the three-pointers this past weekend, but his ability to create, not just from the three-point line, I think could be a huge advantage for the Vols simply because they've had games with a three-point one going. Now, when a team isn't shooting lights out like Kentucky was or Vanderbilt was the last time they ran up against teams like that, this is where the mid-range is going to help. But it also solidifies, again, to me, a team that can score in different type of ways. They got to the rim. Chaz, again, off dribble, it looked like somebody said something to him, or maybe Coach Rick Barnes ticked him off enough. When I saw him drive and dunk on somebody, that's twice in the last few games.
Hand.
With a left.
Yeah.
I don't know if Coach Barnes did the Coach Barnes thing. I don't know if Ron Slay said something to him. I don't know who said something to him, but his aggressiveness as of late, on top of Zakai, his cocky, I don't even want to call it whatever I want to say him. He's a cocky individual, and I love it for him. So Zakai, what did you think of the shot? I knew I was going to make it.
Well, sure.
You did not know you was going to make that shot after the timeout. He has in hindsight, he can. Yeah. And I'm glad, but that's also a part of his growth and development, too. Zakai has become a three-point shooter as of late. Mm-hmm. That inbound pass for a three-point shot, hand down, man down, as Zakai knocked it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tennessee's losses on the road this year, they come at Vanderbilt, they come at Auburn, they come at Kentucky. This, I could argue, is right up there with a tough environment in terms of this time of year, going on the road, the expectations, where Texas A&M is right now as a program, which is good, and getting a win, first of all, is huge.
Yeah.
That road win is big time, considering you still play Alabama at the end of the year here, and you are still trying to convince the committee that you're deserving of a 1 seed, right? Mm-hmm. And there's still a chance that anything can happen in terms of college basketball.
32% chance I think they can get a 1 seed.
It's not, a given by any means, but they kind of have no other choice but at least to go out here and win all these important games that are left on the schedule. And this was the start of it for me. And you're right. You named Zakai Ziegler. You named Chaz Lanier, who had incredible nights. Even with the slow start, guys, with Tennessee falling behind a little bit early in this game, they were able to kind of find a way to click back in it early enough, because we spoke about that on Friday. With them not playing a midweek game, they could be a little bit rusty from the start, and you don't want to do it when you're on the road at any time. But they did that where they were able to get back in it and make it a back-and-forth game soon enough. And you mentioned those two big names, guys. The other name you got to mention is the contribution you got from Jordan Gainey coming off the bench. You got 14 points from him, right? And you had some crucial three-pointers in the final minutes of that game. So when you look at these three guys, 60 of the Vols' 77 points came from Jordan Gainey, Zakai Ziegler, and Chaz Lanier. And this was a great game, and I think a momentum game for this Vols team.
It was big. Really big. Evan Maya made the point, analytics guy who covers all of college basketball, that he said, according to his numbers, Zakai Ziegler is the third most valuable player in the whole sport, behind Cooper Flagg and Janai Broome.
Nice.
And one of those two guys will be the National Player of the Year. It should be Janai Broome, but
he's good.
One of those two guys will be National Player of the Year. And Zakai Ziegler, that version of Zakai, the version they got for the first 30 minutes will get Tennessee knocked out before the second weekend. The version Tennessee got of Zakai Ziegler, the last 10 minutes of that game, could have Tennessee win a national championship. Sure. That's literally how important he is. He could not stop turning the ball over. Early in that game, it was not a good version of Zakai that Tennessee was getting. And when he locks in, that team is just so much better.
And he's had that happen a couple times.
All on him. It is all on him. It's truly just that simple to me.
But it goes also to show you how good this team is. Texas A&M had everything going in their favor as far as the storyline, being at home, 11 o'clock Central game.
That big loss.
Yeah, they had the big loss to Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, too. Right before that, an upset. Missouri, I think, stormed the court, too, after the fact.
No, they didn't.
They didn't?
No, that was Alabama, and Dennis Gates told them not to on the mic.
Wasn't that awesome, though? That wasn't. I thought they got a court storming whenever they lost.
That was Kansas earlier this season.
It was Kansas?
That's why, because they already paid it once. Yeah.
Either way, that is an awesome thing, watching these coaches beg, absolutely beg for the students to not storm the court and the fields and stuff like that. But again, everything that you need. My guy, Cade Phillips, didn't contribute a whole lot, but he was good around the rim. This guy went up top to him, if I'm not mistaken, once. Only 2 points he had in the game. I thought Igor Milicic was going to play a bigger role in it. And Savage said that too. Like, sometimes the game plan is made for you. And I feel like this past weekend, this was a Chaz Lanier game plan. Everything surrounding what he did was phenomenal. Now, can he keep that up?
That's the thing,
Can he
right?
Can he stay in that same boat as we saw Dalton Connect stay in? This team has the goods. Only thing it doesn't have is a whole lot of depth. So
not at forward.
Not at forward, or just in general way. Some teams can just run 10 out. Tennessee's only playing 8.
Really 7. Because Bishop Boswell's kind of faded and not playing as much.
He has.
Right.
Yeah, and State is the one that beat
it was State.
Mississippi State.
A&M.
Mississippi State got A&M.
Thanks, Zach.
But yeah, everybody's playing that role, man. I do think having Sakai off the court sometimes, or Meshack off the court sometime and Gainey, you don't fall off. Only issues you run into is, all right, what if one of your bigs get into problems? And again, hadn't been an issue as of late. Those guys have been good, blocking, rim protecting, everything you need them to do. It just comes down to, when it comes to a shootout, is Zakai, is Gainey, is Chaz going to play their parts in it? And Igor too.
Saturday afternoon, Vandy holds on to beat Ole Miss. Finally, a second half for Vanderbilt where they didn't just totally collapse. That has been their MO recently. And Joel and Artie at ESPN.com say they have a 59% chance of making the NCAA tournament at this point. Mid-30s strength of record, but according to ESPN.com this morning, still need to add wins against good competition. Its next 2 games, A&M and Missouri. Both teams top 35 in ESPN's BPI. We're just making up 3-letter acronyms in all these sports these days every year, but certainly need to continue what they're doing.
And I'd love to see it, but guys, you see Texas A&M dropping 2 straight, and it's at Texas A&M for Vandy, and that's going to be a really tough task. And then Missouri, they'll have at home.
615-737-1045. Coming up next, who of the Titans' pending free agents should stay or go? I know you guys talked a little bit about this last week. We'll dive into all of the decisions the Titans have to make on who they should keep around or who they should send elsewhere wearing another uniform in 2025. And that's next.
Get the Rolex of your dreams at Genesis Diamonds, y'all. Don't miss this massive 2-day luxury pre-owned Rolex event at Genesis coming up. I plan on trying to make that, just so you guys know. Keisha, I know you heard that, all right? This Friday and Saturday, okay, 2 days only. Genesis is showcasing a mind-blowing collection of pre-owned Rolex timepieces, featuring a stunning new selection of hard-to-find watches, too. Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, every Rolex model you can find, man, including never-worn, fresh models that people wait years for. No waiting lists and no retail games either. During this event, you can take advantage of the special pricing and up to 60 months, 0 interest financing. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 3-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings of the highest quality, absolutely free. What an amazing opportunity this is. And if you've dreamed of owning a Rolex, you can't miss this. And listen, if you're already a Rolex owner, bring your Rolex to trade or meet Genesis buyers on site to receive top dollar for your Rolex. Come and see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in the state and take advantage of the special financing or get a pair of beautiful 3-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings, yours free. It's 2 days only. It's this Friday and this Saturday, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs, and of course, see store for details.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. Living in Nashville is the best. We all know that. And while it's a growing city, you still want to work with people you trust, including a real estate agent. That's why you need to check out my friend, Bernie Gallerani. Bernie Gallerani has years of experience. He knows your neighborhood and cares about your buying or selling goals. In fact, Bernie guarantees to sell your home in 30 days, or he's just going to buy it from you. Selling a high-end home requires experience, strategy, and expert negotiation. That is why Casey chose Bernie Gallerani Real Estate. After interviewing multiple agents, Casey wanted someone with a proven track record and a high dollar home sales, and Alyssa Brown delivered. Even making sure when things did not go right, she was able to keep them on the right track. Bernie is the only real estate agent in Nashville recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank, and the only agent I would trust to sell my home. Give Bernie a call on his cell phone, 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644, or go to BernieGallerani.com.
Kicking off your Monday morning on RKW, 615-737-1045. And still to come this morning, You're Not That Guy in Hour 4.
Can't wait.
Back on Monday mornings, your chance to complain about anyone or anything coming up in 1 hour. You can call us and submit yours at 615-737-1045. Coming up again at 9:20. Right now, though, we take a look at the pending free agents and the priorities the Tennessee Titans have. If I were to ask you who is the most important pending free agent the Titans have got to bring back, it's a pretty obvious answer, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Who is?
Absolutely. Dylan Radins.
Oh.
Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Yeah, no, that's the right answer. Nick Westbrook-Akine. You're
I
trolling.
love it.
I'm not.
You're
No,
trolling.
he actually was spending for him on Friday.
You do not honestly believe that bringing back Dylan Radins is more important than NWI.
Well,
If you do, I want to hear why.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
You have the floor.
I do.
You have the floor.
I say this while also saying this also. If there's a bidding match going on between Dylan Radins and, let's say, Trey Smith, I'm taking Trey. But we're talking about bringing back your sustainable starter as it pertains to this team. It is Dylan Radins. I can make a case for NWI or Sebastian Joseph Day
That's
too.
fine, but I'll get on that in a minute.
Why I'm going to take Dylan Radins on this one. Dylan Radins, to me, is in a position to where he can help solidify this offensive line, stay in the same system with the same offensive line coach. Also, and being finally settled into a starting position with starter money too. And the other side of that is you save on the cap as it pertains to overspending, and I will say overspending because he's still my dog, but you're going to overspend for Trey. You also get what we expect to be higher play also. But if this team is going to build, it makes more sense to me to retain your own, keep the same system, and also have him in a position of where he can help settle the center position if Lloyd Cushenberry isn't ready with his Achilles, and also help train up a young or new free agent right tackle. I think if you got 3 of the 5, is what I say more times than anything, 3 of the 5 of your offensive linemen need to be guys. The other ones need to be able to play their part and not be below the line. For me, if you get Lloyd Cushenberry back and also sign back Dylan Radins, I think you at that point have a sustainability of 4 of your 5 being dudes that you can just pour into, and while also having some youth. The other thing that gets it for me as it pertains to Dylan Radins, I don't know if his price is going to be super high. Considering what you're trying to do with this team, be efficient, spend well, and retain, he's a part of that plan for me and Dylan Radins.
Yeah, and what I'll say about Dylan Radins is I'm not completely out on bringing him back either. I think you saw last year, if anything, you need to have a plan there in terms of depth pieces as well. There's a lot to fix on the right side, and I think you can look at Dylan Radins last year. In a year he was healthy, but at the same time, he had an ever-revolving piece on the right side of him in the tackle spot. And I do think that affected him in terms of him being able to be his best self as well. Look, his pass blocking grade went up for sure. I thought that wasn't bad at all. We addressed that, I think, on Friday. It's like a 63.9. Now,
according to Pro Football Focus,
right.
Yes.
But his run blocking, not as good, obviously. But there was inconsistency on who was next to him. But I wouldn't be opposed to trying to re-sign him. Nick Westbrook-Akine, we'll get to him in a minute because he's the obvious. But Sebastian Joseph Day is who I have been on since day one, since the season ended, on re-sign this guy. He has quietly done work this past year. I think he isn't going to get all the flowers because you've got Jeff Simmons and you've got Tavondre Sweat. But what he did for this team in terms of a depth piece and when he needed to come in as a starter, he was solid, guys. His PFF grade, 70.3, well in the green. His run defense was awesome, 77.9 according to PFF. But just in terms of your eyes, if you watched him in any game this season, he did his job. And I think we talked to him at the end of the year. He'd be willing to come back here. Obviously, the price has to be there, but he's the guy that I really look to, too, for adding that depth at the D-line spot.
I think you're the Dylan Radins over NWI thing, I can't get behind. I'm moving on from Dylan Radins.
You moving on?
You know, you've forgotten more.
Why.
You've forgotten more about the O-line position than I've ever learned.
But I value your opinion, though.
I
value anybody's opinion. I told
I
them,
understand.
I trust. I'll roll with what you say, also, Don Davenport. But that's how I feel about it.
I understand, and I give the caveat that I'm never going to pretend to know more about O-line play than you do. But I don't care about continuity when I'm trying to be consistent on something that wasn't good. Continuity's great. I want continuity if my line's good. This line wasn't good. So I don't think there's enough good to build on from, again, according to PFF, he allowed 6 sacks last season, 23 pressures, 15 hurries. PFF, not gospel. I don't think those numbers are always completely 100% true, but let's just say for the sake of evaluating it, it's the easiest way to tangibly grade an offensive lineman. Okay. I think you can build the right side of that line with new faces that can be better over the next 5 years than what Dylan Radins and insert tackle here is. Now, could you make the argument that for the 2025 Titans, the best interest is to bring back Dylan Radins? Yes. I don't care as much about that. And that's where I think this organization's stated mission of we want first downs, not touchdowns. We know it's going to take time. We want to build this thing from the ground up. They can't be obsessed with the fact that the best interest of the 2025 Titans is to keep Dylan Radins, when the best interest of the 26, 27, 28, maybe 29 Titans is by drafting someone else or signing Trey Smith or signing Zeitler, bringing in someone else who is better than him to grow with a right tackle that you're bringing in as well.
Understood, but it's also the conversation that you've had as far as, like you just said, like getting first downs, not touchdowns. To me, Dylan Radins is a first down. Trey or Zeitler is a home run. They are touchdowns.
That's true.
Right? That's very much so. Like what the plan is then is, if that's the case, you go get a Dylan Radins to me. And I say that, like, here's the thing too. And we were having this conversation on 3HL when I went on with them. Like, the thing about Radins is this: he doesn't suck. He's just not what you want. Like, he, to me, is the better part of the 5 starters.
He's a depth piece.
No, he's not. He's a starter, period. Not everybody in this league is going to be an all-star. Not everybody's going to be a 5-star player for you, too.
But at this point, his work has showed he's more of a depth piece.
No, he's not. He is a 2-year starter for this team. Injuries have gotten him more than anything. Dylan Radins is an NFL starter in this league and should be paid starter money. Here's the thing. There's different ranges in that, too. Starter money for him is $5 to $8 million. Again, we got to rearrange our thought pattern around what a starter salary is. Based upon also what the new salary cap, the floor has been raised. $5 to $8 million for a guy like Dylan Radins is a damn good deal. Not only that, you have a guy that's finally in a spot to where he feels comfortable. He's gained the weight. You can't tell me many times this past year, considering how bad the squad was, that Dylan Radins directly ruined plays for this squad. He changed his false starts. Right? He consistently played well this year. Barring the injury that he had later in the season, he's been mostly available to you. This guy's come back from an ACL. He's come back even last year to finish out the regular season, and he just fits the mold of what this team needs, being mobile, being a guy that's mostly available to you all the time, and he just grinds. Like, that's the way I view Dylan Radins. And again, you surround him with maybe another veteran right tackle.
And that's what I need to see. I need to see somebody actually who can get out there and play right tackle, not in flag football terms, and actually help him as well. Because he helped me help you. That's what Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham did this past year. As much as even J.C. dropped off a little bit because of the rookie kind of drop that you see. Mm-hmm. For the most part, in the beginning of the season, he was allowing some of the fewest pressures amongst rookie tackles, okay? So they helped each other in my eyes. Nobody helped Peter Skoronski, so it's hard for me to exactly know if he is that guy. I'm still convinced he can be, Ramon, but I don't know if this team is convinced. But I would still be willing to bring him back if it wasn't a ton of money, because again, you don't know exactly what he's going to get out there on the market yet.
So where I feel like this organization needs to take a hard stance is, where are you going to find your veteran leadership next season? And if you look at the 5 spots of the offensive line, One of the new guys that you add there is going to need to be an anchor who can teach the other dudes how to be pros.
Morgan Moses.
Maybe, sure. If you wanted to be Morgan Moses, I know you've talked about him at right tackle. That's an option. ESPN.com, when they rank top 50 free agents and where they fit, Kevin Zeitler, guard, Detroit Lions, have the best fit as the Titans. I think either your right guard or your new tackle who comes in is going to be your pro who teaches all the other dudes how to be a pro.
Yeah.
As Lloyd Cushenberry rehabs an injury, as Peter Skronsky and J.C. Latham go into years 2 and 3 respectively, that to me is where you got to make a decision. And it's not a slight at Dylan Radins as a dude, but he's not that guy. He's not the dude that comes in and says, no, watch how I do this drill. Watch how I carry myself. That's how you, young tackle, young center, young X, Y, or Z lineman, need to carry yourself. So I think it's going to be either right guard or right tackle. Mm-hmm. I tend to think they'll draft a right tackle and they'll sign a veteran guard who comes in and is that guy. Or you could also sign a tackle while doing that as well.
You could, and I'm seeing some of the comments are coming about Radins. Here's the thing about it. I'll put this. The media here in Nashville has made Dylan Radins more trash than he actually is.
I would agree with that.
I would absolutely.
I would agree with that. I'm still not re-signing him, but I would agree with that.
I'm with you. We as the media has made him more trash than he actually is. There's a lot of Dylan Radins in this league. One in particular was in Pittsburgh, okay, that ended up going to sign with the Rams, right? There are guys around this league that simply play their role until you realize, oh, man, they are that good.
The other problem with Radins is the penalties, though.
He went from 11 to 5.
He went from 11 to 5 last season. But
yes. And here's the thing.
6 in 2022.
So here's the thing about being a pro, too. Not necessarily being a pro. Like, you know what I say oftentimes? Like, sometimes you got to be around long enough to actually let folks know how good you actually are. And I feel like he's at that spot right now. He's got 4 years. And I feel like every year, barring injuries, he's gradually shown that he has and wants to get better. If you catch him in this sweet spot from years 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you see him gradually become a better pro, that's all you're asking for at this point. Now, I will say this, too. You got him in the second round. With injuries, hadn't really settled into a spot,
Smaller school. Short arms.
But he's also moved from left tackle to left guard to play some center to finally at right guard. You give him, what do they say? You're jack of all trade and master of none. Sure. If you let him master, he didn't play center. Well, he played
just
3
right
of the 4.
And left.
4 of the 5. Hadn't he played right tackle?
4 of the 5
4 of the 5 except for center. If you let him grow and become a better pro at right guard, and also this is the other part of it too, for me as it pertains to coaches, can Bill Callahan make his technique a little bit better? Can Brian Callahan facilitate an offensive scheme that allows him to show his attributes more than anything, and not just him, everybody else? I have more expectation for JC and Peter Skronsky than I do for what we're getting out of Dylan Radins. And again, the price of paying for him is a whole lot better than paying for Trey.
You got
Trey
money.
Does what? Again, if it's between him and Trey, and Trey's willing to come to Nashville and play here, I'm going to choose Trey. But if they're talking about first down, not touchdowns, the answer is Dylan Radins.
And I wonder, too,
or similar.
Right. And I wonder, too, I was just saying, I don't know what Dylan Radins' market is. Here's the thing, though. If people are listening and see what you see in terms of instability at the other side of him, in terms of what he's been able to be utilized as, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy until this year. He hadn't had a right tackle that was consistent. Maybe somebody looks at him as a team and says, we got our right tackle. We feel like if we put plug and play Dylan Radins into that spot, that we've seen enough from him to succeed where we are. So somebody is maybe willing to pay from him where you're still not exactly sure who your right tackle is here. There are so many questions. Maybe that's the only reason you don't keep him. It's a very interesting situation. I wouldn't be mad if they kept him, though, if they upgraded or had a veteran on the right tackle spot.
They could do better.
They always can, but is it better
they
for
got
the
money.
team?
They've got a lot of holes to fill.
But again, is it better for the team? Especially if you're trying to go get a free agent quarterback.
We have a whole list of free agents. We've talked about 3 of them.
I know.
Sounds about right.
This whole conversation, we've gotten stuck on the lineman. Tyler Boyd?
Nope.
I pass this time around.
I'm out.
I pass this time.
I think he's maybe lost a step.
Daniel Brunskill?
Nah, he's getting old.
you might.
Depth piece, I can see it, but there's other people out there. I just think he's up there, guys.
For a minimum deal, I'll bring him back.
Yeah, minimum deal, sure.
Because you need to.
Minimum deal.
I think that would be the type that could happen in the summer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Quandre Diggs?
I'm flirting with the idea if he's willing to come back here because he was good before he had the broken, what was it, foot or something?
I'll pass because of the injuries and just the age, too.
You don't nobody at safety, though.
They need a run-stopping safety that's going to go in the box and hit some people. They missed that last season. They need somebody to complement Amani Hooker that's going to go in and run around and just knock dudes out.
Yeah, they do. They need that support, for
another
sure.
spot they need to fill that they need to spend money on, or they got to get him in the draft.
That's why I'm in team trade back. I mean, that's exactly the case. They have so many of these holes. That's why I'm in trade back mode.
Yeah.
If there's a partner.
I might
There'll be a
pass
partner
on that one.
And if you get what you want.
Marlon Davidson.
He was injured, so I don't know, but he was good when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Marlon
He's
Davidson.
on the line.
I'll pass. Maybe catch me in the summertime for a guy like him. First wave, I'll pass.
Interesting, the way the whole Jerome Baker thing went last year.
That's weird.
Another pending free agent, a guy they wanted in free agency, traded for, and they hardly played him.
Y'all.
Out.
He seemed so miserable here in the locker room. It was like he was by himself. I just don't think he wanted to be
He
here.
tweeted out some stuff this past weekend, too, about
Did
how
he?
he's a good teammate and stuff like that.
Well, I'm
yeah,
sure
it
he's
came
a good
across my
teammate, but
I thought that was Ernest Jones.
What's,
who tweeted
No,
it.
that was Ernest. I loved Ernest Jones. I'm
That's
actually
on me. That's on me.
mad that they traded him away, but they got a pick out of it.
So the point of all of this, out of all of the pending free agents they have, they're going to have to keep some guys that we probably in a perfect world wouldn't want to keep because would you rather turn over half the roster again or have some level of continuity? Nick Westbrook-Akine obviously is going to be the top of the list. I would expect them to get a deal done with NWI. Yep. I would be surprised if he's not back. But the other pending free agents they've got, Jerome Baker, no. Tyler Boyd, no. Brunskill, no. Morgan Cox,
maybe.
Yes. Long-snapper again.
Why not?
That's almost its own part of the roster. I mean, it is its own part of the roster. Long snapper. That's not going to cost you anything.
Keep that core together.
Nick Folk, again, special teams. Like, if he wants to play, he's my kicker.
I say no.
As long as you really.
He had some issues at the end of the year with injuries, abdominal stuff. I don't know. I'd bring in a young kicker to compete, though. I'd get
you're always going to do that.
You know, I'd look to go younger at that spot. But if he convinces you in training camp, he's healthy.
Honestly, the biggest value pending free agent the Titans have isn't even an unrestricted free agent. He's an RFA. It's Daryl Baker at corner.
Oh, I like
a lot of the value that Daryl Baker gave you last season without Snead was pretty solid.
I liked him.
For a guy that you got right off the street, right off waivers from Indy right before the season started, him and Luke Gifford, who has played for John Fossil before at special teams linebacker, that's pretty much the extent of who you want to bring back from this roster this past season. You've got a lot of holes, and you have got a lot of money to spend and potentially a lot of draft picks to use if you trade back.
Yeah, you do.
So, Dylan Radins is going to be the big one that's going to divide conversation.
Yeah.
For sure. And Kenneth Murray, if you decide to keep paying him, because you could get out of that deal if you really wanted to.
It also depends on what role they're going to have.
But they have nobody
too.
at linebacker, dude.
But the thing is, with Kenneth is a one-trick pony as it pertains to what you want him to do. It's a matter of, do you go get Jerome Baker back that's good, better in coverage, or you go get a young rookie like Cedric Gray? Like, is he good in coverage too? Like, the role that you signed him for, Kenneth Murray, wasn't what he ended up playing, which is why he got exposed last year.
Pick up an extra 2 and draft Jahad Campbell.
That's a weak spot, though, in that roster. I don't see them letting him go this year. I don't.
615-737-1045. Who do you want or who do you not want of those pending free agents? We'll get to Alex first and take your phone calls reaction coming up.
It is officially truck month at Two Rivers Ford. Yes, and I want to give a shout out to the number one selling truck in America, man. It's the Ford F-Series. Ford F-Series trucks are literally the best trucks on the road. They have the durability, the towing capacity, and the technology that rolls right over to the competition. All right, rolls right over the competition. And when it comes to Ford trucks, too, no one has more Ford trucks than Two Rivers Ford. Right now, Two Rivers has over 200 F-150s in stocks. All trims, all colors, all the options, too. You can get exactly what you want at Two Rivers Ford. And Two Rivers Ford always sells their F-150s below MSRP. Everything is up front and honest. This isn't one of those dealers that advertises one price, and when you get to the lot, it's something different. No, not my people, all right? Two Rivers Ford prides themselves on doing business with integrity. They even have non-commissioned sales team, which means there is no pressure to buy at all. So take advantage of special truck month savings and test the baddest truck on the road at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
RKW wrapping up hour number 3 this morning, talking Titans and free agent decisions. Who you keeping and who you letting go? So far, really, the only ones we're keeping, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Dylan Radins, and Sebastian Joseph Day. That's about it.
Yeah.
All we need.
About all it's worth keeping. Alex is in Nashville, agrees with Ramon on Dylan Radins. What's up, Alex? Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Alex.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. There we go.
We gotcha.
There we go. I mean, it was put in context. Earlier this morning on the show, you had Steely doing draft talk, and he talks about how a lot of these tackles at the tops look more like guards inside. So I think the draft is stacked with guards, and if you spend a high money free agent dollars on a guard, then that's not going to, if one falls G in the draft, you're not going to want to take it. But this is how you build for the future. You get somebody serviceable and then get a developmental person in the draft from an O-line standpoint. I also think there's going to be a lot more quality free agents from the O-line perspective, that a lot of cut candidates from other teams to look at. As far as Sebastian on the D-line side of the ball, Joseph Day, love him. The problem is that the depth of that position in the draft is so high that you can find very, very quality pieces mid to late in the draft. I also think that free agent D-line position is going to be a lot like the safety position from last year's free agency, where because of the depth in the draft, you see a lot of those guys sign later. And I'm talking strictly D tackles, not edge or ends. The mid-tier guys, obviously the elites are going to get signed for big dollars, but I'd love to bring Sebastian. I just don't want to give him the money that he's going to probably require that would inhibit you of taking a one of these studs that could fall in the second or third round, because there's going to be some really, really good D-line guys in this draft available.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Alex.
Good point. And we'll see what he, demands and what he's looking for as well. But yeah, I mean, he didn't hurt his stock this past year.
You got to have a third-round pick to take one of those guys, too.
Who's that again?
The Titans.
The Titans, in terms of interior defensive
They don't
linemen.
have a third-round pick to take a D-lineman.
That's what's tough right now.
It is. And that's why a lot of what they do is going to have to start with their in-house guys. And they'll have to be very strategic on what they want this team to look like. That's one thing, like I said, as far as Coach Callahan, Brian Callahan and his team, is does he deserve a mulligan? Like with what he inherited, what he was asked to do with those guys, and what it looked like in the end. What's that?
He got his mulligan last year.
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm saying. Going into this year, like, there's a lot of free agents that have to be filled in on the squad, and it can be problematic for a coach just trying to win and that needs to win right now.
I do not believe last year was a mulligan in Amy Adams-Strunk's eyes, though.
No, that's
What do you mean by that?
He's going to be judged for what happened last season.
That was
Brian
his
Callahan.
that was his pass, and so I feel like it was that bad in terms of 3 wins that you get that pass, and then this year, if it doesn't work out and you're not getting the wins that they need, and I don't know what Amy Adams-Strunk has come to them and said, we need 6 wins, we need 7, I don't know. But if it doesn't get to that point, he's gone.
Yeah, mulligan to me means like the slate's totally clean and it didn't count.
Okay.
Like it
I
counted.
just meant that was his one pass.
I thought it somewhat warrants it with all the change that has happened, with how he's been set up with a team that wasn't necessarily his, and then a quarterback that he never planned on being that bad too. And I know
he took the job.
It is yes, that's true, but there's also a portion of this business where you just say to yourself, like, it's just bad with what you get. But if they believe he's a good coach over time, then do you also say, okay, now it's yours. Now we've got it in place to where you can really lay out what you want as a squad in your real first offseason.
And Mo, a lot of that turnover of roster was, incorporated in the issues last year too, when you had that many new faces. So the point that you just made, you've got to re-sign some of these guys, right? You've got to have some continuity with this team. You're moving forward. You can't just have newness every single time in terms of turning over the roster. You got to bring back some of these guys.
I think the moral of the story in terms of looking at the pending free agents and all these things is that oftentimes you do have to take a little bit of your own medicine and make it work with guys that in a perfect world you would move on from, simply because you got to pay somebody. Mm-hmm. And Dylan Radins might be the best example of that. He was an example of that last season. I know he wasn't on an expiring contract, but we talked a lot going into last season about how somebody's going to have to probably be held over from that offensive line in order to have some level of continuity to make it work. And he was the guy. Obviously, Skronsky was too, but Peter Skronsky's in a different situation. He only been in the league for 1 year. Dylan Radins might again be the guy that you give a 2-year deal that you intend to be a 1-year deal in order just to pay somebody, because you'd rather do that than pay Trey Smith $25 million, or Zeitler doesn't want to come here because he's late in his career and wants to win. Like, all those things are possible. Quandre Diggs, I'm open to bringing back for sure. I'm interested to see how open he would be to coming back, because I don't think he'd be sold the same bill of goods of, hey, you're going to come here on a team that wants to compete like he was this time last year.
Shoot, if they draft his cousin, maybe that'd be something he'd consider
and
too.
That would be Cam Ward for those unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of holes that got to be filled in. But you do, in my opinion, have to start at home. The two priorities for me would be Nick Westbrook-Akine and Dylan Radins. Nick Westbrook, and also with that too, what role are you asking him to play? Solid 2? Does he somewhat elevate himself? Because Brian Callahan stated that he realized that he had a whole lot more talent than he thought initially. So with the progress that he made this year, do you consider, respectfully, is Calvin Ridley a number 1 wide receiver?
Well,
because if you're going to get a quarterback, you're not getting a wide receiver. And then are you also signing Stephon Diggs coming off of his injury too?
No. And if you get rid of Tyler Boyd, you need slot depth. I mean, you don't have a lot there either in terms of the slot position.
Nick Westbrook-Akine is a 3B.
Yeah.
3B?
Yeah.
I'm getting a slot receiver that is more of your stereotypical slot receiver. And him and Nick Westbrook-Akine, I want to have 500 to 600 yards.
See, here's the issue, though, too. Well, it could be an issue. With where this team is with availability of assets in the draft, he might have to negotiate for 2.
No, I know.
Oh, no, he told us at the end of the year, he goes, I don't want a 1-year deal.
No, I'm talking about 2
to be wide receiver.
Wide receiver 2. Okay.
For this team,
that's interesting.
He is this team's Jawan Jennings.
Yeah.
He's what Jawan Jennings is to San Fran, and he became a 2 due to injuries this year, but he is like a 3 or 4.
I think this team still needs to go out. I know they don't have a 3rd-round pick. This team still needs to go find a young wide receiver. They do. They've been putting that off for too long, and I know they tried the Traylon Burks thing. That did not work.
Forgot about Traylon.
But
they keep
other
drafting
than that,
them. They're just bad.
It's not been good in terms of a 2.
They'll draft a young receiver. He's just not going to be good.
Well,
that's why there's a new GM.
As of late, the trend has been that.
Seriously, no one thought Jaquan Jackson was going to be a number 2.
No,
they looked at him as a punt returner. That's what they looked at.
Punt returner who could be, I remember talking about him as he could be your speedy slot. And now he's probably not even going to make the roster next year.
He was leading the Pro Bowl votes, though. I'm a menace. I need to be better than that.
Coming up. But don't make me laugh, because then I have to start coughing.
I heard the cough.
You better clean
hour
that
number
mic.
4, it'll be all right. I am not contagious anymore. Otherwise, I would not be here. Shedeur Sanders not going to throw at the combine. We'll catch you up on headlines you missed if you slept in this morning, plus what our official draft expert Stoney Keeley said about right tackles and the strength of this draft for the big guys specifically. That's next.
It's Ramon Foss for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, they have been in business, man, since 1990. Even cooler than that is, they are family-owned and operated. Jimmy Hiller, yes, familiar with the last name. Well, he was recently named amongst the most admired CEOs. And it's because of the way he truly cares for his team and his clients. Hiller takes care of the customer on every job, every time, and they stand by their work so much that 100% satisfaction is what they believe in. And their slogan is, happy you'll be or the service is free. If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they will make it right, all right? And most importantly, they send their professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians into your home, and they leave it cleaner and better than they found it. Best part about all of this is, of course, what you watching your pockets is this. Hiller offers true transparency. What this means is that Hiller will line item every part of the job up front so that homeowners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. Look, if you need something done around your house right now, whether it be plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical, reach out to the folks that I trust at happyhiller.com.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Big news of the weekend. Rams have given permission to Matthew Stafford's agent to speak to other teams about his value, but this is not a trade request per se. Instead, the Rams and Stafford can gain a better understanding of his value outside the relationship, potentially making it easier to get a contract done. That remains the hope that outside help can assist engaging the market and seeing his value, and that this results in his return to L.A. To the Jaguars, as they have hired Rams Director of Scouting James Gladstone as their new general manager, the dark horse candidate landing the gig. And with that, the Jaguars have the youngest group of key decision makers in the NFL. Gladstone, who is 34, their head coach Liam Cohen is 39, Grant Udinsky 29 at offensive coordinator, and their defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli at 42, all of which are their first times in those roles. And the Bears, they're releasing former Titan defensive end DeMarcus Walker after 2 seasons, during which he started 29 games, including all 17 last year. The move saves $5 million in cap space for Chicago. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour, Monday morning, 9 a.m. here already on what is supposed to be a beautiful day.
Yes,
here in Nashville,
next
Tennessee. 615-737-1045. The number, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Robert Walsh and Justin Hawkins behind the glass. And we stream the show live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. We give you the chance to complain about anyone or anything. Coming up in 15 minutes, You're Not That Guy takes over. Coming up at 9:20. Headline of the morning. Shedeur Sanders will not throw at the 2025 NFL Combine, where Ramon Foster is headed after the show this morning. Expected to be a top pick. Of course, he will throw and work out for scouts at Colorado's Pro Day, according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, who initially had the report. Also a benefit to the 4 draft-eligible receivers from Colorado, who he will also be throwing to at the Colorado Pro Day. Of course, last season, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels did not throw. Guys like Joe Burrow have also made the same decision in the past. During Super Bowl week, Shedeur Sanders said on NFL Network that he was keeping an open mind about the transition, said it's all about the process. The team's picking me. I don't really have much of a say on that.
Yeah. And in my opinion, there's a lot more benefit for a guy like him, a prospect like him, to have a slow conversation with teams. Coaches, they know a lot about you. They can learn a lot about you in those 15-minute segments that you have. And not just that, too. A team may try to catch him in a moment to where he's a little bit more vulnerable, considering I'd expect his list of visits at the Combine to be very, very high, and a lot of the same questions, too. So they're probably going to be asking Pearson questions as far as just personal, as a teammate, as a show that they have, that they carry around with them. And this is the way for him to sit there and calmly get to know me. And I like that for him, because here's the thing that I learned about myself from those visits, too. One of mine with the Steelers was, they learned in that meeting. He said, whatever we learned after you left the room is what I was told, that whatever we put in front of you, you would knock out. One of the first questions they asked me was, why did you get your coach fired? Like, those are the things that are going to be asked to him. And I'm sure Shedeur is probably going to have one of the main questions, can you play without your dad and brother? And see what his reaction is more than anything. They have all types of people in those rooms. And that's the thing about him, is he's controlled what he's able to say by their well-off media that they have. This opportunity right here, no cameras, you and your backpack, and go inside of this room. It should be fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know how much Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward has in terms of gaining anything with doing on-field drills here. And I say that because they know they are by far the 2 top quarterbacks in this draft. Now, to each your own if you want to go with Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. But I think that, if anything, to Ramon's point, could be decided with the interview process. I think that could be the deciding factor on if a team takes Cam first or takes Shedeur Sanders first. I just think you're running more of a risk to go out and throw at the combine if you're Shedeur or Cam, especially Shedeur with maybe the arm strength thing. You don't have your exact wide receivers. Yes, there are Colorado guys there, but you're also going to be throwing to guys you don't know. And one simple throw you make that is lack of arm strength that you see or off target or any of that stuff, it's going to be a field day for the media. For us, selfishly, we want to see Cam and Shedeur throw. But the teams, that's not necessarily the end-all, be-all for them.
It doesn't really bother me. I wish they'd throw, but it is what it is. And I would be shocked if Cam does now at this point, too.
Yeah.
I wish he would, but...
Me too.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I personally
interview
think
process more important.
You think he's just going to try to one-up Shedeur because they have this competition that they've been doing?
It's what they've been doing the entire offseason, in my opinion. One, it'll fit the mold of what we've seen out of them, and honestly, how they banter back and forth. I don't even want to say attack or slight one another. I just think they go back and forth in their competition the way it is right now. So if he did, cool, but Miami's probably going to have a party down there whenever he comes back and do his pro day. So
right.
I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd love it if he one-upped them.
It's crazy. I wouldn't. I would kind of be interested in that too, just to add to the drama that is the back and forth with them. But Cam's camp has also been pretty quiet. I mean, we at least saw Shedeur at the East-West Shrine game. He did interviews there. But when it comes to Cam Ward, he's keeping a lot of things in his camp close to vest because we just have not heard a lot about him talking to teams or, anything in terms
Nobody
of exploration.
Has at this point, though. Yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm interested to see how much even comes out of this weekend with the interview part. Or if, like Moan said, he wants to surprise people and throw. I'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, things will certainly be noisy around Shedeur Sanders' decision because Shedeur Sanders can have his feet hit the floor in the morning without a lot of people having issue with it. So just prepare for discourse anytime he does anything.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm thinking to myself, what are one of the ways that either one of these guys can hurt themselves? I saw at the Senior Bowl, and people put out clips also of Jalen Milroe. I thought he hurt himself. I didn't stay for the last day. I know Zach and Stoney said that he had a good third or fourth day of practice, but he underthrew.
Just inaccurate.
His timing was off.
He was who he was in college. He's an inaccurate passer.
Right. It's not set up to show his run game really either when you're in these quarterback drills. The game is one thing.
Well, if you run the 40.
But I'm talking about the Senior Bowl. It's not really set up for him to showcase his run game, right? It's more so looking at your arm, which we all know that's the thing that people question more than anything.
I'm just thinking, if they did throw, how much would they actually hurt themselves? Do you find yourself in Jackson Dart moving up because Shedeur underthrows or overthrows guys? Or are you just in love with the fact? Are you just in love with the fact that, he's able to go down the field 60 yards through the air? It's, again, in this day and age, you control your own narrative as it pertains to how you do your pre-draft. But I do think it's a little bit of a bigger advantage for a guy like Shedeur to sit in the rooms and have a powwow. Honestly, might want to blow up on a team they don't want to draft him too. I mean, this is
what the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that way. Seriously, he could blow up on the team and just
that is wild.
Just think about what his father did.
Self-sabotage.
His dad ran the 40, went through the tunnels, hopped in a limousine. And then there's also teams that wanted to meet with him. He stated this on record. You're not picking past 5. Mm-hmm. Why would I waste my time meeting with you when you know you're a top 5 pick? Now, Shedeur, I think he's top 12, depending upon if teams get antsy for a quarterback or what free agency lines up for you. But I think, and honestly, you got to give a small
quarterback.
You got to give a small tip of the cap to him as it pertains to saying, I want to sit down with you. Because as many teams that want to request, I don't think he's in a position like his father to say, I don't have to meet with you. Deion was a bona fide top 5 pick. Mm-hmm. Shedeur's not in this situation.
I think anyone today who has major outrage over Shedeur Sanders not throwing at the combine just doesn't like Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, hands down.
That's all this really is. Like, plenty of quarterbacks don't throw. I don't love it, but I don't have a major issue with it. Anyone who has a major issue with this just doesn't like Shedeur Sanders. That's all they're telling you.
And it's not a surprise. We've been talking about this since the draft process started.
Yep.
So,
Stoney Keeley was on the show earlier this morning. We talked about options for the Titans at right tackle. If you missed that conversation, you get it wherever you download podcasts. And he gave us some insight into some of the value the Titans have to find a tackle at the number 35 pick.
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, you would be looking for Armand Membu to fall out of the first round. I don't think he's going to. That's the right tackle out of Missouri. I don't think he's going to. It's what makes Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks such interesting dominoes to fall, because if teams draft them to be guards, they're probably going to go a little later in the first round. If teams think they're going to be tackles, well, they might both be top 15 picks, and then it might start a run on offensive tackles, and things kind of dry up by the time we get to 35. I don't think both guys are going to go as tackles, so I think it could push some of these guys on into the second round. I don't think Membu is one of them. I do think Josh Simmons, the medical history, kind of clouds his evaluation right now. I think he could be potentially available. Josh Connerly is another guy I like there. I really like this right tackle out of Minnesota, Ariante Ursary, left tackle. They flipped him to the right at the Senior Bowl, and he looks pretty good there. And then it might be too early for a guy like Anthony Belton out of NC State, but he's one of my guys in this draft class. Just kind of looks like what Bill Callahan wants in an offensive tackle, just big, burly dude, strong hands, violent demeanor. Could really pancake a guy. I think 35 would be early for him, but if you don't have a third-round pick this year and you want to get a guy that you think could be your franchise right tackle, I don't think it's too early to pull the trigger on it.
There was Stoney Keeley earlier this morning, football and other F words, mentioning there is real value there in the top of the second round. Strength in the middle at tackle. Music to our ears, looking for a right tackle.
It really is. It's going to be fascinating on what happens with Armand Membu real quick, though, too, is because he's 6'3", playing tackle.
Missouri tackle.
Yeah, it's a matter of how long his arms are is what's going to save him, too.
Okay.
A lot of talk about arms length. Strap in, folks.
Right? Hands and arms.
Combine week. Combine week, you can hear a lot about wingspan.
Yep.
Can't wait. We're so back. Football is back. You heard it here first. It's not. Coming up, You're Not That Guy. Your chance to complain about anyone or anything in sports, in life, in your job, in your household. Talk about it next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you've been looking for cars, you just see the words buy here, pay here. Maybe you have looked elsewhere. But I want to tell you about the one place you can go, Nolensville Road Auto Mart. They are different for a few simple reasons. Firstly, they've been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They're Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under $12,000. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they have got you. Maybe you're just looking for that first car for the 16-year-old in your family. They can certainly hook you up there as well. And if you don't want to take my word for it, check out the Google reviews as well. And that's saying something, for a car dealership. 615-242-1279. That's the number to call for Nolensville Road Auto Mart, with just one location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They pride themselves in how quickly they can get you in and out. They're going to get you done in an hour or less. And they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. They'll work with your own financing if you got it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Give them a call at 615-242-1279. Monday morning at RKW 104.5 The Zone. There may be somebody on your way to work already this morning who made you think, you know what, you are not that guy. Perhaps it was over the weekend. Maybe you were like me and influenza is not that guy. Definitely not.
Yeah.
I will not use that as my
Never
answer.
that
But
guy.
many of you sick like I was last week. Whatever your complaint is, we ask you to bring it here for You're Not That Guy. (615-737-1045) is the number. We live in an era in sports where things are becoming not as sacred. And my You're Not That Guy is the New York Yankees. We used to be a proper country. We used to be a society where New York Yankees players were clean shaven. No longer. It came out on Friday. The New York Yankees will now allow players to have beards and facial hair. They inform staff they can now wear well-groomed beards, changing a long-standing policy that banned beards for nearly 50 years. Yankees, you guys are good for a couple of things for me. A, choking in October, and B, being clean-shaven. I can now only expect you to choke in October. We used to be a society. This is not real to me. The first time I see somebody with a beard and a Yankees uniform, it's going to feel like those Fanatics jerseys are back on, just the face version. Like the stupid changes to baseball. No, we need some tradition. We need some pomp and circumstance, and we need Yankees players to be clean-shaven. I think this is ridiculous. You're not that guy, New York.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Tyler on YouTube says, Will only saying that because he can't grow one. You're right. You're right. I want people to look like
then
me.
you can
dang
make
it,
the Yankees
because
team.
I'm a good-looking guy. Clip that. 924. Peyton's going to be listening like, you're right, Will. 100%.
I'll tell you.
I put myself down too much in this show. You're right.
I don't like facial hair when it comes down to it. However,
Going to shave
if
right now.
Bert, except for you, you're the
I can pull it off.
the
Yeah,
outlier,
thanks.
Quit
right?
making me cough.
I know, Will's over here coughing. But I'll say this: if someone tried to tell me, a man that's making millions of dollars, that I can't grow a little facial hair when I'm playing baseball in the cold winter months too, because it's still cold in a lot of these places when they start baseball up in now late March, I'd be like, F off. Like,
Well, you got
this
29
is-
other teams you can play for.
This
That's what's
this is crazy that it went on for that long. And so
I
I'm
love
okay
it.
with it, but it is still well-groomed, Will. So you know
I
that
know.
they're probably going to go in there before, every week, measure the hairs, making sure it's not too long, it's not shiny enough. You definitely need to shine it a little more. So they're not out of the clear 100%.
You would have cut it.
Our resident
You would've
Yankees
cut it
fan,
Yes,
our resident
100%.
Yankees fan in the chat, D Good says again, Will just upset he can't wear a beard. You know what I can wear? A World Series champion shirt from the last 5 years. You cannot relate,
Number
buddy.
Petty. Coach Roman used to make us shave hours before training
That's
camp
what
too.
you were saying.
Absolutely.
I had
we had to.
a track teammate that had it was before SECs. He braided his hair, or no, he got like a dreadlock or something,
Yeah.
and gets to practice. And coach goes, "Take it out."
Yeah.
Like sight unseen, 2 minutes in a breath, take it out.
that
Like,
quick?
coach wakes up, take it out, and it was a big thing.
I got one, man. It's pretty quick, man. This one is a shout out to our brother here, Ron Slade, too, man. But this one goes out to Taquan DeAndre Anderson, man. Him and his crew, man.
Oh,
Absolutely
you
charged.
took mine.
Did I?
So I'm going a different direction. That's fine. I had a backup
They
just
were
in case.
charged with stealing new Miami's quarterback Carson Beck and his girlfriend Hannah Cavender's cars over this weekend.
He
a
outkicked his coverage, by the way.
You know what? They
Oh, I
both
don't know.
making millions together. Money ain't got a face. Is what he said.
It's true.
In my opinion, unless you're putting a bag over his head. Anyway, go on.
Wow. He gonna make you his. You're not
I
that
don't
guy.
care. Come
I hope
at
he
me,
hears
Carson
this.
Beck. I'd love for it.
But they ended up stealing his Mercedes, her Range Rover, and also his Lamborghini. They found the Mercedes and the Range Rover abandoned the next day, but they have not, from the last reporting, found the Lamborghini. For people that like to steal other folks' stuff, man, like legitimately, they jumped over a concrete fence. I thought, oh, well, they were in the parking garage. No, they were at a home, probably hers that she's already been staying in. Jumped over the fence, went into the car, and also opened up the garage to steal the other two vehicles. You guys, do not be stealing folks' cars. Do not be going inside their garages and houses, man. For those reasons right there, Taekwon, DeAndre Anderson, you and your crew are not those guys, and you got new charges to tell you that, too.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Well, the headline here is that Carson Beck had another interception.
Yes, the right one.
It was the Lamborghini that got intercepted this time.
The legal one this time by intercepting the criminals.
By the way, they left also something you got to think about when, you don't have guards or security.
No.
They left the door opener in the Land Rover. So they first broke into the Land Rover, the garage door opener. Yeah. So they broke into it, got the garage door opener, opened the garage to go get the two other vehicles.
Well,
so
it was parked behind a
stone wall. That don't mean crap. I hopped a barbed wire fence when I was in high school. That's nothing.
That's nuts.
Yeah, especially if you're a burglar. Okay, so for mine, since you took mine, no, I'm not going to go the Steve Smith Sr. route. If you want to look that up on your own time. Frost, that is a good one, though. I'm going to go with this weekend. I was just trying to find a good Netflix movie. Or a movie on any of the 18 streaming sites that I'm, a part of.
This time, right.
And we were just like, let's just find a good movie, not too long. You're not going to stay up too late. Flipped through like almost every streaming service. Couldn't find a good one. Netflix usually is the go-to for me to find something. Could not find one on Netflix. I feel like it's been a while since I've found just like a movie on Netflix that if you want to end your night and don't have to start a series, you can do that. So we then decided, since there was no movie, we had to then go the route of those short series, like those 7 series kind of one-offs. Limited series. So, of course, I had to do 2 of those this weekend. The Watcher, which is old, and I just couldn't find anything, so I did that. And then No Good Deed was the newest one that I found, which was still from last year. But that was where I'm at now, where there's no movies on so many sites you have that you stream, and I have almost every single one of them. You can't even find a simple movie nowadays. So for Netflix and all the streaming services, for all the money I pay, you're not that guy.
Streaming services. Well, listen, they've already collected.
Oh, yeah, and they're upping prices everywhere.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
They had a lot of holiday stuff, but
I know, and I just don't get into that as much.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas thing wears me out. I watched 2 holiday movies they put out, and I'm like, I'm over it.
I got a long list of shows I got to see. Baby Reindeer is on mine. Blacklist.
All right, Bert, no, not your turn anymore.
Ozark.
It's not your turn anymore.
Rebel Ridge.
It's not your turn anymore.
He has an actual list. Most people say, like, I'm going to add it to my list. And they'll have one. Ramon just pulled out a scroll and dropped it to the floor of TV shows he has to watch.
Oh, my gosh.
They say that life imitates art, but sports does not. And I'll tell you why. Because I broached a topic with my significant other, Cheyenne, this weekend. And what works for some does not work for others. Let me tell you, because just because Matthew Stafford's agent was allowed to go and talk to others about his value does not mean that I'm allowed to, apparently. I talked to Cheyenne, said, hey, look at this Stafford thing. Let's really see who's got the value in the relationship. Let me go out, seek a trade, see if anybody wants to really just offer up a first-round pick for me. I was like, that could be that $700 litter box you've been wanting. That could be a new car. Who knows what the value is? Somebody might be willing to trade you. But, if you go on Tinder one time and try to find somebody to trade, now I'm the bad guy. So apparently life does not imitate sports. Because I got in trouble for that. So when I talked to her, Matthew Stafford, I hope it works out a lot better for you. Because when I try to seek out a trade, when I try to get a new contract, because when you're in relationships long enough, stuff starts to fade. Cheyenne used to give me a back massage every night. She used to be cooking every night. I like to play with her hair to fall asleep. I don't get to do none of that no more. No hair playing, no back massage. Last time I had a home cooked meal, I cooked it in my home. So
You're not even married yet.
Doesn't even work out every time if you try to go out and seek a new contract. So for that, Cheyenne, I think you should look in the sports world a little bit more. Cheyenne, you're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Did you created a Tinder profile?
Well, not necessarily. This was all fabricated for a "you're not that guy." But I will say that wouldn't that make sense?
Right.
Wouldn't that make sense that
There's
if you
something
when
wrong
you've
with
been in a
you.
relationship this long, it's like, look, baby, I know we done won a Super Bowl together. we done went through. Look, Aaron Donald retired with us. Like, we went through pets. We went through cars. Like, let me go outside the relationship to see how much I'm wanted.
Time out. Did this start with one said weather woman in this city on Friday?
All I'm gonna say is,
you missed it.
Is Miss Breezy? Listen, I'm gonna put my feelers out right now. If you would ever like somebody to help with the precipitation or the wind blow, whatever it might be,
blow it your way.
We could trade. We could trade. Maybe I'll work something out where Mr. Breezy gets a date with Cheyenne. Look, all I'm saying is let's figure out the market value on Bert. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So for that, maybe you're not that guy. Hopefully Cheyenne is in a meeting right now.
Market value on Bert is what we're looking for these days.
Oh, my God.
And you ain't wrong, okay? That's what I'm telling you,
I think I could get at least a second-round pick. Now, come on, look, I got a cool job.
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
got
cool
good hair.
Good hair. Well, that's something. That's like looking at like Shaq Leonard, or who's the Carolina Panthers linebacker that they just announced this morning was getting released?
It's getting released.
Yeah, somebody else get pushes besides me. Come on.
No, I got it too. I can't remember.
Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson.
It's kind of like Shaq Thompson. Yeah, he put in a bunch of good years, but he ain't played but 6 games in the last 2 years. Sometimes, at the end, it doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means that I might have a little more value on the outside than you previously expected.
You keep talking like this about the one you're with, and people are going to start saying you've got character concerns.
See, the character concerns, and then also I have a pretty hefty contract anyway with a limited amount of guarantees. So Cheyenne could cut me and save a lot of money on her cap space.
Is that a post-June 1st designation?
Higher than it should be. I'll tell you that right now. Pokemon cards and sports cards are high, y'all.
That's true.
615.
Very true.
737-1045. Buffalo is in Westmoreland, whether you're not that guy. Hey, Buffalo.
Hanging out with Zepp at the Nashville SC Sunday night, and we're not going to go there with the national anthem and the guy that dropped the F word right in the middle of it.
Oh, no.
That was, he screamed it. It was pretty traumatic.
Because he messed up?
We're going to go. No, it was like, Rockets, red glare, and there was a pause, and he just went, blah, 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 F word, and everybody in the whole stadium heard it.
Oh, no.
But we're going to go with the yellow button guy. They created a gold button to light up the end, and, all those things are timed to the second. And this dude is walking around discussing like he was on some kind of WWF show, and they just went right on by him and started the game without the grand gold button pushing to light up the end. That guy is not your guy.
Whoops.
Well, it's Sheamus.
You're not that guy.
Sheamus.
You're not that guy.
That's right.
So it was a WWF adjacent.
Shoot.
I was not there. I had the flu, so I was not home to verify any of these things.
The national anthem thing's bad.
Luke is that when you need
I will not comment on something I'm not aware of.
Oof.
I don't know.
I once screwed up the national anthem in high school.
You sang
Did you?
it?
I forgot
what'd you mess up?
The middle of the song.
Really?
That's not even the important. It's like
it's the
getting
first
a plane
time
off
I
the
ever
ground.
sung it, too. And they begged me to sing it. I said, I'm not a pro at this. They said, you got a good voice. I said, okay, if you're going to put me out here, then you're going to risk it. And they risked it all right. But the crowd got behind me.
How long did
it
you
felt
practice?
like 2 minutes. Oh, I practiced for a minute, but when you're in the moment for the first time ever singing the national anthem, that is a hard thing to sing.
I heard
very
it's one of
But
the
I'll
hardest
give
ones.
my school credit. It was a whole school assembly, too. They were behind me, and I rallied at the end. I paused for what it felt like 2 minutes. It was probably 10 seconds.
Oh, you stopped.
Yes! I forgot the words in the middle of the Star-Spangled Banner.
I never forgot the words when I was performing it. I did it a lot in high school.
Yeah.
And it is so stressful.
It is.
Because everybody remembers you as the person that hates America if you mess it up. And I did it. We were playing MUS my junior year of high school. This would have been the fall of 2013. We opened the season against MUS at Vanderbilt in Vandy's football stadium. And I would always sing it for my junior, senior. I sang it for the first home game. And then I would run up the bleachers to go broadcast the game after I sang the national anthem. And I was still out of breath. like as my brother and I were going on air calling the high school football games, and the echo in Vandy Stadium was significant.
The football stadium?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you get in like a real stadium like that, and you literally have to just like put your hand over your ear
Sure.
and just like not get distracted by the echo. Because it is, you feel like you hear yourself like a full second later.
I hate that.
But it's fun.
I never did it.
It's
never
rewarding when you do it, but man, it's stressful. I will never perform the national anthem in front of people ever again.
See, I think I got y'all beat. In middle school, I got asked to do it before a church basketball game.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, I can do it, whatever. So whoever was supposed to do it didn't show up. And I got out there and sang the Pledge of Allegiance. And they were I'm sweating. My mom's got a video of it. Where I got out there and hand on my heart, I said, I pledge allegiance to the flag. And they play ball. You can still play after stuff like that.
Hey, as long as you do it confidently, that's all that matters.
Pledge allegiance to the United States.
Oh.
What in the world? Oh, this is cool. Have you guys ever been in an Adam Schefter report before? Apparently, Adam Schefter reporting. Bert has been traded to the streets for cash consideration.
Oh, my goodness. I thought this was real.
Cheyenne lets me know my contract will not be picked up for my 7th-year option, and that I will be a free agent after this
season. Good for you, Cheyenne. Stand your ground.
God, so I'm playing for a contract, guys. I got to get in shape. I got to have a pro day or something.
Your invite to my hot yoga is open.
You wasted the laser light show, as Buck calls it.
And that might be where my value's at. I bet I can play. Who was at your daggum hot yoga the other day? Who was that?
It was.
Oh, sorry. I was texting about the Nashville SC thing. I don't know if it was really a F-bomb was dropped.
No, but who was
that would surprise me if that happened.
Yeah, exactly. I could be with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I'll invite you to that. That's a Wednesday class.
He's not looking for sugar babies,
So
Bert.
I'll bring you on
It's all right.
in.
She can keep the last name and everything. I'd give her a ring. That's the money, y'all. And we ain't signing no prenup.
No, she is way taller than you, but if you're okay with a taller lady.
You never had no problem climbing trees.
No problem.
That's fine. I'll introduce you.
You know what they say? We on the same height laying down.
You are so ridiculous. There is something wrong with you.
I got comments I want to add to it.
I will say, by the way, too, I think considering all the people I know at the Nashville SC game, I would have heard if there had been an F-bomb dropped in the middle of the national anthem. I do not think that happened.
So maybe the caller thought he heard that.
Buffalo, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't think that happened. I think you were hearing stuff. Anyway.
By the way, there's another candidate I just retweeted too.
What?
I'm done.
Let's save it for after the break.
Smith.
Let's go to Eric in Nashville. He's been waiting to do You're Not That Guy. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys, one of the things I love to make Ramon smile, but unfortunately, this will not make us smile because it's kind of a it's kind of a theft theme where people are stealing. And by the way, this is not my You're Not That Guy, but you were talking about Nicole Kidman. I guess you heard that her and Keith Urban's house got broken into back in California a couple weeks ago. So, but this is unfortunately continuing the theft theme. So, as people know, I've had some health issues, and I'm on a fixed income right now, and I'm living in low-income housing. And we got people with disabilities. We've also got people who have been previously homeless, people who have drug alcohol problems, but we also have people who live here who have criminal backgrounds. And over the past few months, have had to deal with several different issues. Beginning of this year, somebody took a giant rock, threw it through the snack machine, and stole all the snacks out of the snack machine. So they had to get rid of that. I don't know if they're bringing another one in. I'll be there in a minute. I'll be downstairs in a minute. Somebody was just knocking on my door. Sorry about that.
You're good.
So
that's the
best part. So I'm sorry. It just threw me off, guys. So also, somebody took a screwdriver and removed the giant flat screen TV out of the community room in our building. So we don't know if it's the same individual or not. We supposedly have cameras and stuff. So that person may have been evicted. We just don't know. But here's what really makes me mad. This happened before that. Back in September was my birthday. And many of y'all know my good friend, Ken the Mailman. He actually sent me a present over here. He kept calling me and says, Eric, do you have your present yet? I said, no, I didn't get no present. I said, and come to find out, whoever it was stole the present that he had sent for me for my birthday. That was just so frustrating. I cannot stand thieves, the people that steal stuff from you. So I don't know if it's all the same person, but if you are a thief, you are definitely not that guy. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric.
I experienced a lot of emotions during that call just now.
That was a roller
gosh.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Porch pirates out here.
615-737-1045. If you have got a You're Not That Guy, plus the Giants have reportedly gained a top target in the NFL draft. I'll tell you about that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, y'all. I'm getting ready to talk to you guys out there. And ladies, man, you know who you are. You're the ones that walk around your yard every day getting mad when you see weeds. You obsessively care about your grass. Your spouse and friends tell you talk about your grass more than you talk about anything else. And that's because you want to be the envy of your neighbors, all right? Secure Lawn is the company that you want to call, man. If you want a company who will be here for you year after year, it's Secure Lawn. They're not going to be sold to anybody. They're here, all right? If you want a lawn company that's not getting sold, I promise you that's the best place you want to go to. But not only that, man, they want to create lifelong customers by providing a prime service for you. And it means having a team properly trained and prepared to provide a prime service with making sure you have the best grass in the neighborhood. Here's the thing. Right now is the time to be applying crabgrass and broadleaf weed control to your lawn, and they are the company to call. They've been here for over 20 years. They're family owned and operated and local. They're punctual. Have a quick response time, man. Listen, if you're not satisfied with the service that they provide to you, they will either give you your money back in your last treatment or make it right, whichever one they want to. Their biggest thing is they want to make sure you have the best yard and that you're satisfied on every single trip out there. So whether you're trying to protect your residential, commercial, or even athletic fields grass, these are the people you need to reach out to. You can call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
RKW wrapping up the show on 104.5 The Zone this morning, and reports out of New York are confirming the Giants like a quarterback.
Oh.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Ramon headed up to Indy to the NFL Combine, where the reporting from Jordan Radin, we don't like his trades, but we like his reporting about the New York Giants, says that they like Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Top priority, quarterback. Multiple league insiders are convinced the Giants have their sights on Sanders, but that would not necessarily keep the team from targeting a more experienced option at the position. The Giants had Super Bowl winning quarterback Kurt Warner as their starter when they drafted Eli Manning with the number 1 overall pick. He adds veteran quarterback Jameis Winston has already thrown his hat into the ring for the current Giants gig. Former number 1 pick made it clear during Super Bowl week he would be open to coming to New York.
I love that for Jameis.
That'd be fun with Shedeur and Jameis there.
He probably need a guy like Jameis around to be real with you.
They could have a heck of a podcast.
I'm talking about an amazing one.
It's New York, fits right in.
But not just that, though. I mean, Shedeur's New York. I felt like this would be one of those conversations where New York is going to go big. They have to. Dable needs a big quarterback. Cam fits that mold, too, but it's with what with what Shedeur's dealt with all his life, I don't think anything they're going to deal with or throw at him is going to be a big issue.
Yep.
Now it just comes down to who falls in love with Cam Ward.
Well, and the big question, too, is do the Titans try to sell that they're interested more so in Shedeur at this point and try to sell that point so that they could maybe get the Giants to trade up?
So here's the thing. I think Shedeur fits most of what Brian Callahan does.
And we've heard the most about Shedeur up to this point.
I truly, truly believe if you were offering me the Giants or the field on who is going to trade for the number 1 overall pick, I think it's the Giants, then it's everyone else. I would expect the Giants to be the team. If you really want to trade, everything that we have heard out of the Giants camp suggests they are your trade partner. Yeah. Now, what are they offering? Remains to be seen. But I think the Giants are the team you're trading with if you're trading.
Because you know for sure, you don't know for sure if they're taking a quarterback, but it'd be hard to believe that they don't.
If they moved up to 1?
No, I'm just saying in general.
Just in general?
Yeah.
If they have Shedeur or Cam to take, I think they're taking them.
Biggest player in this has to be Vegas also.
Vegas, Jets, Giants.
Yeah. I think Jets
those
are
are
still
your
in the
3
mix
teams
there.
you're looking at who need a quarterback who are behind you.
I still wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland. Like, you'd love it if Cleveland wanted to make a play for him.
I wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland was in the mix at this point, but I do feel like if you have a Myles Garrett that's moving on, and I know that's not set in stone either, that maybe they do go Abdul Carter.
I think if you were a Titans fan, you are rooting for the Browns to be taking a quarterback.
Oh, sure.
Because that
Absolutely.
makes the partners at 3, 6, and 7 need to move up with you to take a QB. There's also rumors out there the Browns don't like either the quarterbacks either.
Yeah.
Which, again, is not a glowing endorsement of Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion.
Right.
It's not.
If neither of the top 2 picks, who both need quarterbacks, don't want you, oof.
That's a tough place to be in. But it goes down to system and who you love at this point, though. Again, it wouldn't shock me, though, if Giants went to 1, Cleveland takes Cam, and the Titans are stuck with the best of the rest, meaning Travis, Abdul, or whoever else they want at that point, plus more picks. You need, like you said, for sure, Giants, Jets, and Vegas to be very feisty after this combine.
That's right.
Can't wait.
Safe travels to Indy.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you tomorrow from the Combine.
Yep.
Looking forward to that. So you're going to be the hardest working man in showbiz the next few days. So you'll have Titans radio conversations on the OTP. You guys will have, I imagine, access to Titans people.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Callahan and Borgonzi both supposed to talk to us. Supposed to be a sit down with them. A little quick tease.
And you'll talk with us.
And I'll talk to you guys, too. And I'll see what else I can. I told Kayla, my goal this year is to get up in one of those offices, or those suites at Lucas Oil. I've been offered it numerous times. And you know how I get prideful and I'm good. Like, no, I'm going in there. I'm eating your foods. I'm drinking your drinks.
I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
Leaving
Yes.
with something.
Would say.
I'm leaving with something this time. And I don't need my binoculars this time, too, because we're indoor.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
good to go. I say that because I forgot them.
I was going to say, you're on the sweet level. So if you're a sweet level, you still need binoculars.
I know. But I'm just glad there's no snow on the road up there, though. A little bit warmer than it was last
Yeah,
time.
it's going to be warm here the next 3 days. So.
Love that.
That is your Monday. That is the show. Great to be back. And we will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. The Buck Rising Show has you covered up next. And Ramon Foster has you covered right now.
Please remember at all times, good people, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always high.